The following stream contains mature content and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. Chicago. Ask someone to picture the city, and they will have trouble coming up with a concise description. When people think of New York City, they think of skyscrapers, subways, and muggers. When they think of Los Angeles, they think of sun, smog, and traffic. When they think of Detroit, they think of cars, factories, and decay. But for those of us that know, there's only one thing we think of when someone mentions Chicago: vampires. And tonight, we tell their story. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to McStabber Studios, Windy City After Dark, the final cast Q&A. Of course, I am the storyteller, Shaky McStabber, and I've got to fix something while we're doing this because I just noticed our logo is sitting there in Chicago with us.
Hey everybody, I am Relyn Dare, also Mama McStabber in the chat here in Twitch, and I will be the moderator of this Q&A, and I play Jacqueline Durand of Clan Ventru in Windy City After Dark.
Hi, I'm Mischievous Red, and I played Isabella Caputo of Clan Toreador, and it's so weird because this is the last time I'll say that.
Good evening, I am Ivy Raven, and I've played Genevieve Shows of Clan Gangrel.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Urian. I have played Roscoe Acres, Clan Tremere.
I am Timber Brad 411, and I played Nicholas Bowens of Clan Hikata and Bullshit Baby Wraith.
The Haunter.
Yeah.
I'm Gavin, and I played Lamar Cade of Clan La Sombra, camp counselor for Camp Fuck Around and Find Out.
And remember, Clan I'll Fuck You Up.
That's right.
Also, Clan I'll Fuck You Up.
We will never forget that line. That was actually one of the best lines of the Chronicle. Just the way you snapped off with, I'm Clan I'll Fuck You Up. And as I recall, you all did fuck them up. Well, good evening, everyone. This is our final cast Q&A, obviously. Last time that this cast will sit at the table together as this cast. We may see some of us in other games, depending, but it won't be this cast, really. It won't be the Windy City crew, unless somehow there ends up being a one-shot with this crew, which will be difficult because I tend to kill all the one-shot players. But if we do a one-shot of the Windy City crew, I'll have to murder them all, and I don't know if we want to go that route. So
Not in the one shot where I'll murder the ST.
I mean, I'm due. I'm due for it. So I'm going to turn it over to my wife, who is our moderator for this particular stream.
Yep.
So she can give the breakdowns.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And if you have questions, as I have posted in the Twitch chat, please use your channel points to highlight your message. It costs 100 channel points. And if you've been a consistent viewer and a follower of ours, you have racked up a number of channel points. You can cash those in to highlight your message so that I can see them clearly as I'm scrolling through chat. Appreciate it. We do have one question that came in to us from our Discord community for someone who would not be able to make the live stream, but still had a question for us. Lord Elantri in Discord asked, after so long of playing a vampire, if given the choice, would you want to be turned in real life? Why or why not?
I'll go. Fuck it. Don't really care either way. Personally, if I was going to get embraced, it better be by this right here, which is my Malkavian signet ring, because, you know, that's my clan and my heart. I know it's too hard to see because of the lighting, the way my lighting is, but there, see? There's a
bitch is about lighting, gets cucked by his lighting.
Yeah. There's advantages to it, but I'm always reminded, of course, of the Queen song, Who Wants to Live Forever? So, it's a tough question on that one. That's why I say either way, whatever. But, really, who wants to live forever to see everything that you cared about die off eventually? Fuck all that. So there's my answer.
Well, no one else is going to jump in. No, I wouldn't. I would not want to be. I played that in the character throughout the Chronicle too, is that Roscoe views being embraced as a curse. And I would too, mostly from having played Vampire now for several games. Supposedly we live forever, but in practice, that's never really the case. Most of us end up dying fairly quickly. Maybe you might last 100 years or so, but that's it.
For me, I think if being a vampire was kind of like how it is in World of Darkness, where you have all these terrible ass clans, these really terrible people, I'd have to say no. If it was potentially like a different situation, that answer might change. But I don't want to deal with the politics of the cam, or the Sabbat, obviously. So I have to say no if it's World of Darkness.
Yeah, I'm going to take the bullshit road out and say Red said it best. Yeah. World of Darkness vampires are bullshit. Yeah. But yeah, outside of that, if it was a different thing, and maybe, but not World of Darkness.
But the World of Darkness is not as bad as the real world right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Fuck yes. Like I already hate everything about being alive. Why would I not want to be a fucking vampire with badass abilities and the potential of body modification that doesn't cost me $100,000?
There is that.
Just saying. I would even take fucking bullshit thin blood at this point. Because it's better than whatever the hell I got going on. So yes, I would totally take being Kindred. I don't care if it's World of Darkness. I don't care if it's Bram Stoker. I don't give a shit what kind of vampire it is. Give it to me. Give it all to me.
That's actually fair now that I think about it, because I already practically live my life when the sun's down anyway. So that would just make it easier to sleep during the day. I would fucking take it.
A few years ago, this would have been a hands down yes. Yes, sign me up. I almost don't care what clan sort of answer. Now, though, it's not the same. For me, it would have to be an unwilling embrace if it's World of Darkness. If we're talking like the Immortal Universe, like Anne Rice vampire type, maybe we could talk a little. There's a little leeway there, but I would say, now. No, I wouldn't go for it, especially with the politics being what they are, because you literally have to have your head on a swivel every night of your existence. And it's like the cool powers are great, but that kind of wears thin after about, I'd say, 5-10 years of just having to watch your back and watch everything you say, lest the wrong person get you staked for looking, the opposite direction of the prince on Thursday night at 2:45 a.m.
So whether you want to be embraced or not depends on the storyteller of the world that you're going to be embraced into. If it's superhero vampires, not so bad. If it's Shanky Game, oh fuck no.
I would have to say no, and I have never had a desire at all, even though I play vampires and other supernatural creatures in various TTRPGs. I wouldn't want to be any of them. But my reasoning is a little bit different. Mine is because I actually do believe in reincarnation. And to have myself become immortal would stop that cycle. And that would be very bad to me. All right.
There we go.
Yeah. So that was the first question down. And I will let Lord Elantry know that it was the first question we answered when he checks the video later. All right. So the next one is the honeycomb system asks, what do you like best about how your character has changed over the course of the Chronicle? So that's going to be for us players.
If no one else wants to,
go for it.
I loved everything with Nicholas's story. We've mentioned it a bunch, but me and Red talked like the entire time. Like, I know it was mentioned in the past. I don't know how many people watching this are aware of it, but the whole thing between Nicholas and Isabella completely started as an accident. When we did character creation, I just happened to pick the same first name for Izzy as Red had picked for her character. So pretty much from then it just turned into this, and the whole ride has been amazing. So seeing them as sort of like Nicholas being sort of morbidly interested in like, why the fuck is my sister or someone who looks like her here? And then just the clusterfuck that's happened since then. I've loved all of it. And then ending up as a Wraith, even if it's a bullshit baby one, it was that made my player heart a little happy because I'm a huge Wraith fanboy.
I'm glad you're a Wraith fanboy though, because I'm going to put you in a one shot as Nicholas Bowens with Ravnos Archon playing. So
And I might reprise my shadow role for him.
I can go next.
Go ahead.
I think that for me, so I won't steal Nick's answer or Brad's answer. Wow, I'm going to keep doing that for a while. I think that it was actually kind of seeing Isabella grow up a little bit and kind of taking more responsibility. I think Jackie definitely rubbed off on her in a good way. Because like Jackie actually gave her something to do and like a direction, whereas I don't think she really had one before. Even though like her sire was like Prince, I don't think she had a direction. She was just like the spoiled rich kid type of thing. But yeah, I liked how she got direction. It almost felt like she grew up, even though she had technically been an adult for forever. She matured finally.
Red actually kind of put that very well, because for Lamar, going from the whole Breakfast Club, I'm only here because I had detention sort of thing when he first joined up, to actually being like the coterie hitter, like, all right, like who needs to die and how fast do we need to kill them? And him going from, being in the Sabbat where individuality was not a thing to being the Camarilla where it's, oh, you mean I don't have to just, I don't necessarily have to watch my back every single night from the people around, the people that I'm in a group with. I feel like that was a very good change for Lamar, and like realizing that he can actually rely on other people to do shit and not screw him over was really good, especially when, Tally, the person that he actually trusted, fucked him over probably the hardest of anyone he'd been around up to that point.
Well, I'll go next. I loved Jackie's story. I loved it from start to finish. The ups, the downs. I loved that how she presented herself to this haphazardly thrown together coterie at the start was only just a defense mechanism. And once they actually broke through her defenses and saw who she really was, yeah, I loved playing that out. I loved how she was unique compared to all the other Ventrue in the city. She was, in a lot of ways, traditional, but not typical for the American Ventrue. And playing her story out was amazing. And yeah, even her losing humanity, I loved it. Because for her to actually be a ruler, she would have had to have become less humane. And playing out that whole arc over 10 seasons, because I never missed a single session, y'all. Legit was amazing. One of the best overarching character stories I've ever had the opportunity to play out.
Who's next? Come on.
If Urian doesn't want to go, I'll go. It's fine. He's looking like he's got a hand in the cookie jar. So honestly, I can't remember what the exact it was how your character changed, or what was the exact question? Sorry, it doesn't matter. I know how my character changed and how I liked it.
What did you like best about how your character changed?
About how they changed.
Oh, okay. Jenny allowing herself to like pull the stick out of her ass. So yeah, because when the character was introduced, she was very like, I don't know. I was trying to kind of go with that like businessy kind of vibe, as it were. So like she didn't want to step on anyone's toes. She's going to do what she needs to do, kiss the baby, shake the hands, etc. But she's not trying to make waves. And then over time, specifically when Isabella was just like, you have no idea how to have fun. And Jenny's like, bitch, I know how to have fun. This is Chicago. This is where fun goes to die. But after, kind of mulling on that and then having the Vegas intermission scene, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Jenny's gonna go back to Chicago and be like, screw it. I've had some fun. There's no reason to worry about Chicago. This place fucking blows. I may as well enjoy myself. So having a little bit more fun with stuff and, whatever, instead of it being always kind of like, yeah. So.
That just leaves you. Come on, you're in. Let's go. You're any.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously my answer is that Roscoe never changed over the course of the Chronicle.
Bullshit.
He's the eternal scholar.
Bullshit. At the start of the Chronicle, you would snitch everybody in the coterie secrets in a fucking heartbeat. Unintentionally. You would just let the fucking secrets fly. That did change.
I'm just saying what I saw.
Yeah,
that's exactly your line, too.
Damn it.
Damn.
But
by the end of it, you were real good at keeping coterie secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that was from Jackie's tutelage. Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, she verbally corrected him on all this stuff, and he learned eventually.
Here's a way Roscoe changed. Will Roscoe try to get romantically involved with anybody else again as a kindred?
Never again. In a Shanky verse. No.
He changed.
2 minutes after he gets to Milwaukee. 2 minutes. That's all I give him.
I mean, he's just a gigolo. He can't help it.
The next questionable co-ed that blinks at him, he's like, oh, baby.
Yeah, I loved how all the characters, the main characters in our game, grew over the seasons that they were in. I loved it.
And the beauty is, though, they didn't change massively.
No, the core of them never changed, but they still grew. And, yes, Roscoe was still an eternal scholar, an occult scholar. But he learned to grow into a more powerful Tremere, to know how to give loyalty where it's deserved and not where it isn't, and to not be as naive.
And as the storyteller,
that was a big thing that I saw in Roscoe's arc. With Isabella, yes, I saw a level of maturity develop.
I think with her, we'd always, she was, a revenge artist beforehand.
Yes.
But, by the end of it, it really became more of, an art.
Right.
Where, it was more, thought out.
It was
still
less haphazard and more, okay, I'm really going to put my effort into this now. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say, though, as storyteller, I love that all the players kept, because vampires are supposed to be unchanging. That doesn't mean you don't grow. It means you're unchanging. The core of what each of these characters were never changed. You still had the core of what you were in life turned vampire. But you grew without, and changed some, but the core was still there. You could always see the core of what made you what you were the same, which is great to show in a stream where you don't see these drastic personality changes. There's little things that happen, a little here, a little there. It slowly chips away at the humanity. But the core of what you were was still the same. I mean, even down to Lamar, his interaction with Tally, betrayal was a big thing for Lamar. It was a big no-no, and he got betrayed. But it didn't change Lamar's loyalty to everybody, to his own coterie. It just made him question whether those who hadn't earned the loyalty, and I think look at the loyalty he was being given as, is it true loyalty or is it just loyalty of convenience at the time? Because you see it in a lot of the ways he's interacted with people, and you see it with everybody. It's really interesting.
And it is funny because the entire Chicago Chronicle really was a story of loyalty.
It was a story about what a united coterie is capable of.
It was a story. It was a loyalty story. It was, strangers coming together and developing long-lasting loyalties to each other.
And when one breaks the loyalty, Nicholas,
they are expelled.
Yeah. You broke that. Broke that trust circle. You got outside that circle, and
well, and I would even say, for Nicholas's part in that, it was a different kind of loyalty. He just picked one over the other.
Exactly. He chose his loyalties, and it wasn't to the collective. And not saying that that's necessarily wrong. It was very right for Nicholas, but it was wrong for the rest of us. But no, so I love Nicholas's story for real, because it showed exactly who Nicholas was. And even if he ended up expelled, as it were, due to conflicting loyalties, it still showed who he truly was. And that was a brilliant story. Jenny, I love when Jenny took the stick out of her ass. For fucking real. That's when Jenny became the fucking masterpiece that fucking gangrel is.
Yes. Pushing drugs.
Fuck it. Whatever she's going to do, she's going to enjoy her fucking self.
Fuck it, literally.
That's how she got with a Methuselah.
Exactly. Whatever she does, she's going to enjoy it. And that is, I love it. It's hedonistic as fuck. And it is exactly how a rich fucking gangrel would do it. And Lamar, the whole Tally betrayal thing, God, that broke my fucking heart. God damn, that was rough. But, I loved how he took that and saw that not only did the coterie stand up for him even with that, but when he was captured and they rescued him from that, and they kept showing up anytime he needed them.
That was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. I saw it. I saw the turning point in Lamar that he realized, wait a minute, I can really trust these folks. They are going to look out for me. You know, and seeing that play out, and then, of course, you had to leave for reasons outside of game, but we wove it into the story, and you coming back for the coterie, that was that going full circle. I fucking loved it. Fucking loved it. That was good shit.
Okay, let's move to. We could sit here and keep going with this one for a while. I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to move on because I just wanted to summarize for myself as not only a player but as a producer of the game what I saw in these overarching themes, and it was so good, just so good.
And I will say though, as Shanky, I'm a storyteller. It's their story, not mine. But there are themes that I want to tell in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal in Chicago was about a coterie that starts off not as a coterie, just forced together. See them through the fires of fucking hell and, the abuses thrown at them by others. Tell a story of how a coterie forms bonds that would last 100, 200 years, 300 years.
Or longer.
How they've gone through it so much together and they've forged these bonds where, they could always rely on each other, even if circumstances pulled them apart for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And they told the story.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Astral asks, players in ST, hard questions first. Most emotionally gut-wrenching scene you played through, go. All right, I'm going to answer that one first. The most emotionally gut-wrenching scene I played through was the scene after Nolan fell where Jackie had to go talk to Tyrus. Tyrus fucked up and said the one thing that triggered Jackie's acute grief so fucking hard that was hard for me to play.
She brought that up with me after the stream. She was upset, and I said, look, you got to look at it in terms of your character and how your character responds.
Yeah.
Because it triggered Relyn herself, too, a bit.
It did to me.
It wasn't a line that we crossed, but it was the situation. There was bleed.
It was very situational, and I had some bleed with it because I have my own issues with loss and grief and stuff like that. So it kind of hit home with me. But in the character's perspective, that was really hard for me as a player to play that as well, because it hit something in my character that she had thought she had locked down, and she didn't. So that was very gut-wrenching.
It's one of those cases where I talk about you want to pull that extra out of players sometimes where you don't want to cross a line. I'm big on not crossing consent lines, but sometimes the players being uncomfortable but not crossing a line will pull out some amazing role play that they didn't know they were capable of, and it tells a story that they didn't expect to see happen. And that actually, it wasn't intended, but it is one of those cases as an example where no lines were crossed, but it pulled something out of it,
I think for me, it was definitely Emilio's almost death. Gosh, I'm sure Brad's answer might be a little similar with Matthew. But that hurt. I didn't realize how much that would affect me because it was just like, she's been with him for so long. I was like, what the fuck happens? What if he says no? They hadn't actually had the conversation yet. Then she'd be without him. That's been her friend since she was 7. So it was tough.
I have a super quick answer. Sorry, I don't think I was in any scenes that felt like they were really emotionally charged for Jenny necessarily. So
not every character's story has that kind of a scene. It's the way it is.
For Lamar, a couple come to mind. Tally betraying him. That after we logged off that night, I needed a minute because that was really just like a punch to the gut for Lamar, and it was to go to that place. I had to pull up some stuff where I've been in that situation, and it was just wow. I got up the next day, feeling like crap. That really sucked. And it's but it didn't happen to me, and I had to remind myself of that. So I think the other one, a lot of around what happened with Lamar's wife, that loss, and then the fact that she'd still been watching out for him and learning that it was for him, that was very much okay, I can't just file that under price of doing business.
The heart appearing on the windshield or the side window of your car when you were driving that night.
Yeah, that was
I
very
could see
much
in your face. That got you.
Yeah.
For the viewers, so you understand, when Lamar was created as a character, none of that part was part of the character plan. That is stuff that I added in with he didn't know was coming.
I guess I'll go next, so Urian gets to be last again. For me, I would say it's a toss-up for Nicholas. Either watching Matthew suffer for his actions and then being completely incapable of doing anything to stop it. That hit me in the gut more than I expected it to. Because I was a little standoffish about it at first when the idea came up, but I was like, okay, let's run with it, see what happens. And then it happened, and I was like, ooh, okay. Or the heart-to-heart that he had with Izzy. I think those were the two hardest things, just because the majority of Nicholas being, this sort of like emotionally, for lack of a better term, dead. He did have things he cared about, and being put into situations where he had to confront both of them. Yeah, I would say those would be the two for him.
For Roscoe, or for me anyway, I mean, I'm accustomed to getting broken by Shanky in his games, and he does. He does a masterful job of it. But for me, it was the scene with Samantha after she'd had basically her essence ripped from her, and I had to kill her. That was absolutely the hardest.
That was even hard for me to play with you.
That was hard for me as the storyteller.
Yeah. Playing Jackie in that, all she wanted to do was support you in any way she could. And it was just so hard though. Yeah. God, and seeing you, I know it broke you because I saw the gut punch, and I was like, oh.
There's a couple hard scenes, and some of them might surprise people. For Jackie, it was the scene, her and Etienne, where Etienne, after they'd come back from the shed in the woods.
Oh God, that was hard.
When Etienne was admitting that something was disrupting him, and he was
afraid.
He was afraid of the aging, that his ghoul was bond, or not the blood bond part of it, but the life-enduring effects were broken. That was a rough scene to do. For Isabella, I know it's going to be surprising. The hard scene was when Isabella did everything right dealing with Braden. She did everything right. Even disguised herself, did everything right. And then I sent her his scalp in a box because of one roll on my end. Undid everything she did right. Because I don't fake the dice. The dice are what they roll. And there was no fault in anything Isabella did for that situation. She even disguised herself. She did everything she could to make sure she wasn't dragging problems to him. But I rolled too well. It's surprising that was a rough scene to do.
I agree with that one because,
God, that was rough.
Afterwards, Isabella was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?"
That started
I promised, yeah.
It started a breakdown in Isabella as a character in a lot of ways. Jenny, yeah, we didn't get a lot of deep emotional scenes with you, but then again, at the same time, let's be fair. You compartmentalize so well that I'm not sure I could do a scene that would actually emotionally affect you, the player, in that way, without crossing lines that I won't cross.
That's right, baby. I'm emotionally dead.
But
No,
you're good at
compartmentalize.
you're very good at compartmentalizing
know.
and keeping your character's mash separate from you.
Yes.
There's a number
Oh,
of players
I know.
that can do it. I generally can do it. There are a few trigger points that, as I'm mentioning, that get to me, but generally I don't have a lot of bleed. I know House, who is in the chat tonight with us, he has the same thing where he doesn't really have bleed, so it's hard to get him, the player, emotionally hurt from things. But some people are like that, and you're one of them.
Well, I mean,
Not saying that's bad or wrong.
every time I tried to show emotional stuff, it was also kind of like, I can never tell if audience picks up on those things or not. So I do them anyway. And also just for story shortening, like a lot of the story stuff that I was working towards with Ginny, I kind of was like, accelerate and skip past so that we can, since the Chronicle was coming to an end. I don't think she would have gotten necessarily emotional with like her sister stuff, but the sister stuff was where I was trying to show some of her emotionality stuff, and the player itself wasn't going to be impacted by that. So I'll be real.
I saw a little bit more emotionality geared towards Tasha, especially towards the beginning of her story where she was on Cretius's radar. You really, I think even as a player, got real invested in that.
Hey, she likes Tasha.
I know, right? Yeah. But yeah, I saw a little bit there, but no, I don't think it was necessarily like any gut punch or anything, but I saw you get really activated with that. And it was such a good role play because of that. It was so good. I mean, you were like visceral about, I'm going to protect this girl and fuck that guy, and I'm going to do whatever it takes for this girl.
And I will say for you, Lamar, I could go easy and say the tally scene. It was the scene with the madam when she revealed that your wife had been stuck with you the whole time. And then when I hit you with the heart on the window, because that's a thing for me. It's one of my own points that get me quite often. And that was one of them. Just seeing how it affected you, the character and the player, I was like, okay, that was rough, but I liked it. Nicholas, not going to lie, your sister's betrayal was rough for me to do to you. It was rough for me to do to you.
I don't believe that for a
Contrary
second.
to popular belief, my husband doesn't actually like being mean. Okay.
It was what was needed in the story. It fit the story, but it was not something, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't relish in it. It was a tough one to do.
he doesn't like being mean, ... except Brad.
No, he doesn't like being mean except for when it's appropriate in a story.
Right, and that was a tough one.
But he still carries guilt from it because he'd hate
to hit you with the, the specter was more in control than you thought the whole time, and the whole way that turned out, that was rough.
That was devastating.
And yes, Roscoe, the Samantha was tough on, I think, a lot of the players at the table that bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sun Chi scene, that didn't bug me as much because I knew damn well that no matter how you felt about going into that Sun Chi intermission, I was going to get you to change your vote. I knew already.
When the truth came out.
When the truth come out, your vote would change.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
There's been some others. Eleanor leaving was a tough scene.
Yeah.
Because Eleanor had been a key part of the coterie for a while. And that was a tough scene for people. Destiny leaving was a tough scene. I hate to admit it, didn't bat an eye at murdering Jonathan because Jonathan had fucked around in a way that as a cast we had talked about prior to even streaming Windy City. He had fucked around in a way that we had warned everybody that if you fuck around in this way, you will get killed. And he did it anyway. Didn't faze me at all to kill him. That was consequences.
Yep.
The things that normally get me are the things that are not, or from when the players did everything right, but things went bad anyway. Roscoe did not do anything wrong with Samantha directly. I mean, yes, you could argue he shouldn't have been keeping her around. That was a story choice. He wasn't the fault of her losing her avatar. Lamar wasn't the choice of his wife following him after the grave. Isabella did everything right to deal with Braden. Nicholas treated his sister right. Jackie treated Etienne right. These are all things that They didn't do anything wrong. Those are rough scenes.
I will say also a rough scene for me was after Samantha, where Jackie and Roscoe are in Roscoe's place when Jackie checked on him because she was really concerned. And having to play out her own heartbreak a little bit because Eleanor leaving everyone to consort with demons broke her fucking heart. And that was hard to play, but it was very authentic for the character. And she had been holding that in ever since. And finally trusted Roscoe enough to share that with him.
And I got to admit, it's hard to remember all the emotional scenes. We went through so many in 10 seasons.
So many.
Even players are here, players that are gone.
Yeah.
10 seasons is a long damn time.
All right. So Misermark asks, I'm going right for a big question. There was a hint of La Sombra being in Baltimore by Corey, sorry. So when the calling happens, will Lamar be aware of the call or become hypnotized, dominated by the will of the antediluvian and just wander out in a daze?
That touches on a few parts of the meta there. First of all, for those that haven't read the Chicago book, Chicago by Night, the suggestion that Vitel is La Sombra himself is from the book. That is a observation from some of the La Sombra that have been close. And I like that observation because, I'll be fair, the hand-waving of how Vitel came back from being executed was always kind of seemed odd to me. He put a flesh and blood copy of himself that murdered multiple Archons and then got murdered, but it wasn't really him as he was escaping into the underworld. That always struck me as kind of, that's some retcon of a new level. So when they mentioned it might not be him, it could be La Sombra himself, I'm like, okay, I like that. But the beckoning overall is a mechanic I tried not to focus on. I think it's a bullshit mechanic. So I can explain it in game terms of La Sombra has got a lot of kindred he can eat in Baltimore. He doesn't need to summon his brood to him to feed because he's Vitel right now. He can get all the food he wants. Doesn't involve bringing his clan. And La Sombra's particular thing is excellence. I don't think La Sombra would waste all of his tools by eating his entire brood. He would try to eat every other clan out of existence so that only his line is left to be the rulers of everything. That is how I picture his mental state.
That part right there. But I did make sure Jackie in character did tell Lamar when she got that news, hey, if you start feeling compelled to go east, you let me know.
Because Baltimore is east of Chicago.
Yeah, so. I will stake your ass and park you.
And I think Lamar would want to have that, like, that surety, like, you know, not only with Jackie, but also with Kathy. It's like, if you see, if I look like I'm doing anything weird, like I'm trying to leave town without telling anyone, definitely shut me down before that happens and get Jackie involved, get the others involved.
Yep. We have the safety net just in case. All right. And TiVo asks, over the course of the game, several kindred lost humanity. Were the characters aware of what was happening, or were they justifying it as cutting through the bullshit?
I'll say for Lamar, the guy that kidnapped him, there was no way he was letting that dude just leave the coil after doing that to him. So, he walked in, he knew as soon as he had the chance, he was taking that guy's heart's blood if he could. And the resulting humanity loss it's like you fucked around and you found out. The risk was worth mercy.
The reward.
Yes. As long as no one was willing to sell him out, he was willing to do it. Mm-hmm. And even if they would have sold him out, he still would have done it just to have that just for people to know how serious he was about avenging what was done to him.
I would say for Nicholas, he was already kind of like a low 5 to begin with. So jumping or, dipping from 5 to 4 wasn't that much of a change, aside from he was a lot quicker to make colder decisions. Once he hit 4, like he was definitely more the I'm willing to kill somebody thing, as opposed to if it happens, it happens. I think the act of specifically diablerizing Amelia for him was getting revenge for his sister and had absolutely nothing to do with Isabella. Once he dipped and the pettiness started being aimed specifically at Nicholas for that, I think is more when Nicholas embraced the lower humanity. Like he kind of took pleasure in taking that from her because she was so pissy with him, which again, it's a circle with the two of them where it's somebody does something and the other person, it's an Ouroboros. It just feeds itself over and over.
Say Roscoe survived the whole Chronicle without losing humanity.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Tremere. He didn't have much to begin with.
And Isabella lost it during Chronicle by embracing Emilio.
Yeah, there was no other option in her mind. Like, I feel like if he died, either he died or like he became a kindred. Like either way, she was gonna lose humanity. At least this way, she got to keep him. And then off screen, she did get a diablerie because like the Nicholas one didn't work out.
Well, Nicholas saved her from that diablerie.
No, she means the one on Nicholas. That's the one she missed.
Yeah. So we had one off screen, like Jackie gave her one in Milwaukee. That one, she was getting what she felt was owed to her at that point.
Right.
So, because her revenge wasn't satisfied. Granted, it's still probably not satisfied, but that's just like one extra thing to help.
But your revenge may not have been satisfied, but you have a new way to continue your revenge through Matthew versus Nicholas, which we saw in those that last episode where, fine, I failed to diablerize. You're a ghost. Now I can keep getting revenge.
For Jackie, I mean, yes, she was the one that, netted 2 diableries in one fucking Chronicle. Truly, it wasn't a matter of losing humanity being something she really considered about. It was more like that's the cost of her for obtaining power. So the cost is worth the reward. Because I'm playing a Mithraist Ventrue. Not only a Mithraist, but an actual descendant of Mithras. And her big target now, as much as Setites annoy the shit out of her and she wants to destroy them all, her big target is Tally. Her goal from the moment Tally walked away from the fight with Nolan was to destroy him eventually. So she was going to do whatever it took to become even more powerful than her sire was, because she got information from a certain Banu Hakim that Tally almost fell to her sire one-on-one. So she was willing to do whatever it took to get the power she needed to take Tally out.
But let's be fair, part of Nolan, that scene with Nolan versus Tally, part of that was a lot of stagemanship for the viewers, not necessarily the thing. Because as we saw with Lamar, when you break out Arms of Araman, it's not fair to one-on-one Arms of Araman in V5 is not fair to the target. He could have grappled Nolan to death with the arms, but it would have sucked to watch that on screen.
Yeah.
Let's be fair.
But needless to say, that is her motivation and why she considered the loss of humanity not really a loss. It just meant that was her stepping stones to more power. So. All right.
So now we got Ginny's.
Yeah.
I was going to
she
say,
lost some for
technically, Ginny did lose a humanity to embracing Tasha.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a whole lot of time to show any of that per se, because it was like the final almost last episode. So I tried to show that when the scene with Nicholas, when he was like, "Oh, I'm so hungry." We were all in the rolls, and I was just like, "Oh, well, I could give you a sip or whatever." Like, I was trying to show more of that, like, kind of like meat or predator sizing up prey kind of view from Ginny, and that was like basically probably the only scene I really got to do that, but it was perfectly fine. So she's still wheeling and dealing, but she's got a little bit more like, that's some meat. So
Devilish Darkness asks, fave kill of the Chronicle.
I'm not even answering that. I'm gonna let y'all, because
Go for it, Nick.
mine would be just killing Nicholas.
My favorite was killing Isabella's hopes and dreams.
Oh, god damn.
Oh,
Savage.
Holy
That
shit.
was the ultimate fuck you from Nicholas when that Diablerie failed on the last roll.
And so for the viewers who don't understand, the story plan was for Isabella to diablerize Nicholas, and you, the viewers, not to see the result of the soul subsuming to see who's in control of Isabella. That was what we were going to end it with.
We had not had a failed Diablerie in the Chronicle yet.
So we'd planned for it to end with you, the viewer, not really knowing whether it's Isabella in Isabella's body or Nicholas is in Isabella's body. And then the dice fall in a savage way.
And that whole dice roll was just ridiculous because it was like 9 and then 8 and then it was like 2 and then it was 2 and it's like, fuck.
This was like another question too. It was like the most surprising moment, I think, or something like that. Was a future question. But I was going to use this as an answer so I can talk about it here instead. Yeah, no, like that roll happening and just failing, none of us saw it coming.
None of us even imagined that would happen.
Like the question was, who would take over? Not, would it happen?
Right.
And then it didn't happen. And I'm sure you can see from my reaction, it was like, the fuck?
The whole table's faces was like,
it was like, what?
What just happened?
And then, you don't see this, you don't see it. Go ahead.
I was celebrating.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good story. But then, like, you don't see, like, so before the last season, everyone gets a bonus 100 XP.
Yeah.
Okay? I spent all 100 of that XP trying to make sure this roll went right.
You had so many dice. You had so many dice.
So bad.
Oh my god.
Which which kind of goes back to the previous point that it's like this vicious circle with the two of them where it's just because literally none of the shit with Matthew would have even been necessarily an issue if the Diablerie had just happened.
Right.
But saying your favorite kill was her hopes and dreams, that's savage.
That is savage.
That's for humanity shit right there, buddy. Nicholas really has for humanity in life, apparently.
That wins the whole fucking Q&A.
That's fucking savage.
Oh, God.
Who else has got favorite kills?
Oh, God. Favorite kill for me, I still say the most fun I had with a kill. The most fun I had with a kill as Jackie was Thea Noel McCrae.
When this coterie found the depths of what that twisted bitch was doing to her own mother, I was like, they're going to love killing this bitch now. There's not even going to be a hesitation.
I literally loved Jackie setting her up on a fucking dolly. Staked. And putting her on the rooftop where there's a pool and a lounge area and all that stuff where it's just a nice little place on top of her condo building. Just before sunrise, lingering kissing her to the very edge of death, leaving just one drop. so that in her last moments, all she would want would be for Jackie to drink her more. As the sun comes up over the rooftop and burns her from her feet up. That was so satisfying.
Other favorite kills? Come on, I know some people must have some. Maybe some of you don't.
Yeah.
Oh no! Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say,
go.
I just mine's actually really fast and easy. It's funny because it was not even a kindred. It was Lamar's priest guy. That whole thing, I like just the absolute brutality of it from Tasha was what like really I was just like, oh, be still my heart. And that wasn't even like Ginny's kill, like straight up, that was just Tasha doing her fucking thing, and I was there for it. Like that was probably my favorite kill that Ginny was involved with, because the ones with the kindred, it was I don't want to say it was always the same, but it was kind of the same ish. Because I wasn't the other ones. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. That was just probably one of my favorite kills overall because it was just so crazy. And then just that or Burning Man.
That's the
which
scene,
actually I guess it was like Burning Man part 1 and part 2. There wasn't it?
The priest kill is the scene where Ginny really saw the real Tasha, and I think that's why Ginny liked it so. She saw the real Tasha that under this veneer of of what she's been showing people, she is a street hardened monster like the rest of the people.
Oh yeah, no. That's why I was saying like that was probably that is probably my one of my favorite kills for that reason, because it helped the characters a lot from both sides, Tasha and Ginny. And so and instead of it being like kind of one-sided or something, the overall scene was really good. I know Roscoe is involved in it and he's just standing there like, what the fuck? But still, like the whole thing was like, it was very good all around. I see in chat they're like Ginny's owl bear cannonball, like yes, that was awesome, but like there wasn't, other than feeling like you're seriously gonna pick on me, you're gonna step to me kind of shit, like she felt more something about the priest for some reason. So which like Shanky was saying, it was probably because of seeing Tasha actually doing Tasha. So, and
you didn't know I was going to play Tasha that way either. That's what made it even better.
Oh yeah, no, I had no fucking clue. I did not do backstories for or whatever character profiles for any of my ghouls, because I know that's not how Shanky does it. So I was excited to see how Tasha would change, and I was yeah,
that's actually true. I get general input from players on their ghouls, but how you see Emilio played out, Etienne, Tasha, Tariq, all those characters, that's me deciding in the end what personalities they have. So, other favorite kills? Come on, I know people got some good ones.
Let's see. Gino, I think it was. Getting rid of
that. Killian Roche.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Fuck him. He had to go. He definitely had to go.
That was my favorite kill, by the way, of the Chronicle, was when y'all killed Killian Roche, because he was my character I played in Savannah by Night, and he was a moron. And watching you fucking punish a moron venture that I had created was my favorite kill.
Killian, we whacked Capone. We dropped Capone. The priest that tried to had Lamar, that kidnapped Lamar, we had to get him up out of there.
So many good kills.
Wait a minute, Lamar. Yes. What about the guy who said, "I saw you feed on somebody and you pulled your gun out"? Get your ass in the club. And then y'all fucking murdered him with the arms. I mean, come on.
Yeah, just a number of people. But I think, but you know what? Oh, Decker getting rid of him. I mean, and barely surviving. I think that was very much a, okay, that could have gone either way, but we did it, and I was very happy. But I think the biggest kill of the Chronicle that satisfied me the most was Bob, because that little son of a bitch should have been taken out long. Yeah, I'm not a possum guy to start with, and that possum should have been taken out long before Lamar got to it. So he was just that was what we call a self-correcting problem. like Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, nature finds a way. Nature found a way to take care of that shit.
God.
I will not stand for this slander of the pure soul that was Bob Possum.
It's only slander if it wasn't true.
God damn. Oh my God. Does Roscoe have a favorite kill? Better not say Samantha, because that's not right.
No, that would be just wrong. Allison, maybe.
That was a fun scene to watch as you're playing with your food.
Oh,
You can
God,
see the
that's
trauma.
disturbing.
When you can see the trauma Roscoe had been through versus Nicholas, who had 4 humanity, where you're toying with her, but she is not getting out of there alive. There's even Michael the Ghoul knew she's not getting out of there alive.
It's too late.
So I know I had mentioned it afterwards. But the plan was, regardless if it was in the bookshop or in the van, she wasn't going to make it out past that scene alive. It wasn't going to happen.
No.
So it was, and it was just like, at a point, it felt like Nicholas in that moment would have seen Roscoe reliving Samantha. Now, granted, he wasn't present for that. Like, he was downstairs when all the Samantha stuff happened, but kind of seeing the aftermath and then him being put in a very similar position very soon after that. I think that was as close to compassion as Nicholas had left in him, was seeing Roscoe knowing he needed to make a decision and didn't want to make it. And then Nicholas just then going from compassion to boredom is like, okay, I'm done with this. And then just ended it.
My second favorite kill was sending that fucking Ravener demon back to hell. That was my second favorite because literally Jackie went stone cold executioner on that one.
That was some fun ones.
That was fun.
There's a lot of kills in this chronicle.
Yeah,
Some of them they
was.
didn't. Some of them the coterie didn't directly do, but had a hand in. Balthazar,
A Luke.
Luke.
Oh, that guy! Both him and that his weirdo girl with the Club O or whatever.
Yeah.
Get them both out of here.
That was a dice roll that determined the Luke was in the building when it blew up, because that was not the story plan.
Alexa. Loden.
Nero even got
Basically
got.
Nero got.
Nero.
I was gonna say basically everyone who interacted with Ginny in the last 2 seasons, because she just kept accidentally sending Corey after them.
Yeah.
Bobby
Critus, the
Powerbottom.
painted lady,
Holy
shit, come on.
But Bobby Powerbottom got to survive, though his wife is now Fiorenza's fucking lever. So it didn't really save him from being pressured by other kindred.
Oh, well, that's his shit luck. But
He's got to get a bigger spine in him to stop that shit.
okay, so Ravnos Archon asked, to everyone, given all the scenes you were a part of throughout the course of the Chronicle, what is one scene you wish you could have played out that we never got to see?
Wait. I thought you were going to say something.
I thought about it, but then I got this question confused with another one that was in there. That was
Okay.
what
Don't
scene do you
read
wish you
ahead. Don't read ahead.
Sorry. I'm reading the chat as it comes through, okay?
I have to pause it so I can catch all the questions.
That's fair.
There were a number of scenes that we talked about that we couldn't show because we try to keep it 2.5 hours instead of some streams that are 4 hours. And it does make it sometimes hard to do all the things you wanted to do. We have to pair
Over
them.
the course of Dredd giving Jackie the painting as a Christmas present to where we ended the story, there was a shift in that relationship that I did not get to play out. And I wish I could have.
He was a Gangrel that had always had a pack and had realized he was losing his pack. He was losing what he had. He was looking for a new one.
So there was definitely a shift that opened up Jackie's eyes to something more about him. Because initially she was using him. Absolutely. He was quite easy for her to wrap right around her finger and get exactly what she wanted out of him. But that opened her eyes to something more about him. And I never got to play that out.
I did think of an answer for this one.
Mm-hmm.
The resolution to Isabella and Honor's friendship.
Yes, that would have been interesting.
We will never know if Honor ever forgave her, or if Isabella could have done anything to make it better, or if Honor went back to Keisha and just stuck with her. We'll never know.
Yep.
For Nicholas, I would say so I would say it's a toss-up between two. It's either getting to play out the Narissa storyline, because so most people don't know, but the book that Corey gave Nicholas was meant to be the object that Narissa had wanted him to retrieve when they had met oh god, I'm blanking on the name
graveyard.
of
Resurrection Cemetery.
Resurrection, yeah. And so getting to play that out, like having a little more time to do that, I think would have been fun. Otherwise, I would say selfishly, I would want to see after this how everything with the coterie has sort of happened. But then also seeing Nicholas's progression, because talking about it with I think more so than anybody with Raylene, I 100%. I think Nicholas would be leaning in towards his shadow, like he's, and which I think is also sort of a nice narrative balance with his sister being twins. It was sort of like how much the shadow took over for her, and being twins, he's just sort of, it feels like that's the natural progression. But I would have loved to have seen everyone's story after the fact play out.
That's why I had your shadow having the voice of your sister, because you'd had her voice with you your whole life. And then she was gone, and your shadow immediately knew it could fill a role, which is bad. Anyone else got a scenes they wish they could have done?
For Lamar, I think one personal scene would have been him and his brother, because his younger brother was still alive in Chicago, and had played for the Cubs, and he was retired, but he was much older now, but he hadn't seen Lamar since his mortal days, and I thought it would have been interesting to see Lamar kind of looking in on him the way he did for Tariq and his daughter, not to mention sending his daughter to prison to help his grandson ascend in the criminal underworld. And I think the kindred-wise, with his foster child having a bit more training, and him kind of going on about we're La Sombra, we're about excellence, this is what we do, and you're not going to be out here making me look bad. So here's how you're gonna go about that. I think both of those have been interesting to watch Lamar in those roles.
I would have loved to have seen some more scenes that explored the relationship you had with your stepfather that caused you to go with a sledgehammer to his grave site and destroy his fucking grave marker. I'd have loved to have seen more exploration of that part of Lamar.
Oh yeah,
because that was a pretty big scene. It was a small scene, but at the same time, it was a big part of Lamar where he just takes a sledgehammer. That's where the sledgehammer discussion started about Lamar with his sledgehammer. Anyone else?
Well, at the very end, I really wish I had a chance just to show Roscoe adding Nicholas's Reaper plushie to his little
to his shrine.
Yeah.
Aw.
That's why he took the Reaper plushie for everyone.
Roscoe's just so sentimental.
He was going to add it to the shrine next to Eleanor's doll, Sunchi, the teacup, and Samantha's bracelet. It would have been on his shrine.
Probably it was more stuff tied into the Bahari stuff. I was purposefully pushing past it for sake of episode length, and also because I felt like I didn't want it to feel like it was being shoehorned in. But the scene I would have loved to have had would have been near the end, would have been to actually have a sit down with Stuart, because that dynamic had probably completely shifted after Ginny like saved her ass. And so it would have been interesting to kind of see, like, I don't know, it would have been a short scene probably, but it still would have been interesting, at least in my head, because they're not necessarily ever equals, but then now all of a sudden it's like, I'm not sitting here demanding a life boon, but like,
no,
I did
she
save
owed
your
you a
ass.
life boon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying,
Sunlight would have
like,
destroyed her.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying though, but like that whole dynamic shift and stuff, and so I just think that would have been kind of interesting. I got a little bit of that with the scene with Erzule and Adzi, but like it would. But I was, yeah, I understood. We were sprinting through stuff, so I understand why, and that's not an issue. It's just one of those things. Like her actually catching up with Stuart would have been interesting to me, but even then, I probably would have flubbed that scene because, yeah, I'm real good at that.
Anyone else? I wish we got to seen more of Isabella and Emilio's relationship after Embrace.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
I think it'd have been cool to see the different new childs interact, because there's 3 of them now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be cool.
And it would be interesting to see Jackie's come back and interact with the other new childer. Mm-hmm.
Brainwashed from the cult of Mithras.
Absolutely. Okay, Miser Mark asks, just a fun question now. Of all the names on the hit list, which one that was crossed off was the most satisfying?
I think we covered that one with the other
did.
satisfying kills. I mean,
really all of them were satisfying.
Isabella's hopes and dreams were on the kill list because Nicholas crossed
they really
it off.
weren't. That's just Nicholas being a troll.
Amelia didn't make it to that list. Amelia was a very satisfying.
She was satisfying for sure because
she
was just
messing up both of Nicholas's and Isabella's lives.
She was messing up a lot of shit and needed to go. So it was very satisfying. It was also satisfying when Nathaniel Bordriff got offed by Lamar, because he was also a thorn in a lot of our sides, just an asshole. Anytime an asshole fell, it was satisfying as fuck.
The Coteries still mad they didn't get to watch Dave pop Mal Davis's head off.
Yeah, that would be satisfying.
They wanted that, and I can tell you now, they're still upset Keisha did not die on camera.
Yes, I wanted that to fucking happen.
Yep.
And I wanted to be able to get Marcel.
For those of you applying to Kansas City, remember, not just Jackie likes to kill Setites. Relena has a thing about killing Setites, and you can blame me because the Setite character I played has tainted her now about wanting to murder Setites.
Yes,
I don't know why.
They all have to die.
You've got to embrace the darkness to understand the light. Let me get an amen, brothers and sisters. Amen.
So fucking annoying.
That was the reference. I played him doing that talk the whole fucking time.
It was so fucking annoying. I was like, can we just murder him?
He called one guy, because his face kept getting red when he got excited, I started calling him Brother Love from the old WWE days. Because I love you. That old Brother Love stuff. Oh, I went straight for it.
All right. Logan Griffo says, favorite scene to play this season and favorite scene of someone else you wish your PC could have been there to at least witness it.
This is the one I was thinking of earlier where I raised my hand. Or like, I was like, oh yeah, I got an answer now. The scene with Samantha, I was out that session.
Yes, you were.
Isabella would have fought to embrace her.
Yeah.
100%. Because one of Isabella's convictions is protect women.
Mm-hmm.
And so 100% would have fought it. And so I don't know if that scene would have gone differently, but I think it could have.
I think that would have led to more issues between Isabella and Roscoe.
That would have been interesting to see if Roscoe, first of all, would he try to stop you? In which case, where that all lies, if he tried to stop you and you were going to do it anyway, where how that would play out, that dynamic.
I don't think I would have tried to stop you. I mean, I wouldn't have done it myself, but I wouldn't have stopped you from doing it. But I think you might have been in trouble down the line from Samantha herself.
Yeah.
Or Franklin.
Yeah.
Isabella wouldn't have done it without Samantha's permission. Like if Samantha didn't want
she
it.
asked for it.
Yeah,
she had
Samantha was
already
asking
asked
for it though.
Yeah.
To piggyback off of that, I was absolutely going to say, even though Nicholas was there, but he was downstairs, so not getting to be part of that, I would have loved for Nicholas to have been in that room as well, because I could just imagine if Roscoe would have had, like, we could have had the Allison scene minus the playing with your food aspect, because Nicholas wouldn't have hesitated if it's like, okay, she needs to die and he's having trouble doing it. I don't care. So, but I would have loved to have been like there, as opposed to Jenny just fucking strong arming his ass out of the buildings like, we need to go.
You could have also made it a fucked up scene with Allison with, if Samantha had been embraced, you want to see where Samantha is? Handing Allison over to a hungry Samantha.
Ooh.
Samantha would have eaten her friend.
In terms of the other half of that, it's a troll answer, but literally is the most fun I had out of the entire season. I feel was that scene with Isabella, and then Nicholas just going out, just like, tell Emilio I said hi. Like, I loved that so much, because Nicholas knew he lost, but at the same time, Isabella didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
You knew you lost the moment the striplings had you in fucking the ghost world. I know Lamar's favorite scene, shooting Bob Possum. No, just.
I mean, no lie, it was right up there. Favorite scene that I was a part of, I mean, the whole fight with Decker. I'm glad I was able to come back for the last couple of episodes and deal with Decker, because that arms roll just.
God damn, that was a thing of beauty.
Without Lamar there, that Decker fight would have resulted in at least 2 of this coterie dead.
Yeah.
At least 2.
Easily.
And I wouldn't have changed the fight. If Lamar wasn't there, it would have been the same fight. They just would have died.
And I think for scenes that I wish I could have been a part of, that trip to Vegas.
It was so fun.
Lamar would have been like, hold up, I can spare a night out of town to go see everybody. So that would have been I feel like that would have been a great time, and just a bonding experience for everybody.
Wait, some beautiful ladies are wanting me to party with them? Yes.
It's like, say less.
An orgy on one floor, party on the other floor. I mean, it just was crazy.
That orgy party was so much fun to play out. Oh my fucking God.
I'm just imagining Lamar in that scene just being like, is this like the opposite of what happens with fucking around and finding out?
Finding out while fucking around. Ooh.
with Jackie literally walking up, picking up her dress off the fucking floor, walking out naked, just as proud as can be.
I'll give my favorite scene of the season. Honestly, my favorite scene of the season was the Decker fight. The look on the players' faces when he hit Ginny first, and the look on everybody's face when I said how much aggravated damage he did in one hit. The look on everybody's face is like, oh fuck. That was my favorite scene because, let's be fair, most of the fights, when you have 3, 4, 5 kindred on one, it's not fair. But this was the first time they went up against a battle-hardened Gangrel. And it's a different fight compared to even Amelia DiCarlo. A battle-hardened Gangrel was a whole different ballgame.
My favorite scene to play this season was legit the conversation with Waneka, where I told him to make Andre his bitch. That was so much fun because the response that Bill did as Waneka was just fucking perfect.
I liked playing Waneka.
It showed Waneka exactly what Jackie was. Oh, you're having to shell out your favors to cover his ass? Well, make him your bitch.
Welcome, Raiders. So you're aware this is our final cast Q&A. We actually ended our Chronicle last week.
Yep.
This is our last time this cast of characters will be sat together, and we're answering questions from the viewers about not just this season, but all of our
Chronicle overall.
10 seasons, over 100 episodes. We're answering it from everybody. So please stick around. You'll hear some odd answers that you probably won't know the context, but it's some funny shit.
And my favorite scene of someone else that I wish I could have been part of. I wish I could have been part of the going boating.
The final going boating scene?
All of them.
Oh, okay.
Because legit, Relyn would be like, yes! But Jackie's like, nah, I ain't touching a Methuselah. Y'all have fun. Yeah, so I wish my character was a little different and could have injected herself into those because that would have been a shit ton of fun.
Other favorite scenes. Come on. Let's do it.
My favorite scene for Ginny this season 10, was talking to Erzule and Adzi, going to the car, getting the skin, and then going back in and just being like, oh, whap! That's right, bitches.
And you didn't know I was going to resort to that shit.
Oh, I know. I was like, oh, scene's done. She's gonna go to the car. It's gonna be, and Ginny drives off, and we're gonna skip to the next person. And it's like Evan white knuckling the steering wheel, and I'm like, oh shit, fun's continuing. Like, I don't know. I really liked that scene. Also because it was fun to show some of Ginny's actual like give a shit about Tasha in that scene. I hope the viewers caught those elements of it because she did care, even though she was running off for the the pleasure that can only be found on the high seas. That's not true. The high seas, the low seas, there's all kinds of areas in between where you can find. I'm sorry. You know that those two have done some crazy shit. Scene that I was not in that I wish I was in. I'm trying to think. Shit. That's a difficult question because I'm trying to think about all the different scenes that have happened this season, and I'm just like, most of them were very situational to the specific character that they were involved in, if that makes sense. There wasn't a lot of like generalized fluff scenes. They were very specific to, this is a Roscoe thing, this is an Isabella thing, this is a Jackie thing. Though there is that part of Ginny that would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Roscoe was getting his balls grilled by the Tremere. I know that wasn't this season necessarily, but like close enough. She was always busting his balls anyway. Like, she cared but didn't care, but she showed she cared by busting his balls. So
another scene that I was glad, I was just happy that Lamar was part of was the was Jackie bringing him up to speed on everything when he came back, because that whole thing was like, it was Lamar's like, okay, I'll just get the 411 and then we'll move on. And then it's like, wait, I'm sorry, what happened? No, okay, tell me that this person didn't get away with it. No, now I need you to explain what you just meant by that. And
it was so good.
It was, in Lamar's mind, just like repeatedly being blown over and over again.
We told Lamar not to watch the season, not to get caught up to the season before he came. We wanted him to come back and not understand what was going on.
And to get his real reaction.
To get his real reaction of the fucked up shit that this last season had involved, because it got fucking...
Mm-hmm. No, that was a brilliant. That easily is like my second favorite, because it was so much fun having just dump all this stuff on you in character, and you being like, "Oh, that's good. Oh no, that's bad. Oh, that's good. Oh no, that's bad."
I just realized we never explained to him the charnel house.
No, we didn't. We did not. That didn't even need to come up. Sorry.
Oh, so much shit. Roscoe, you got a favorite scene?
Well, despite it being a hard scene, the one with Samantha, the one at the end. Actually, I've enjoyed, my favorite scenes have always been the ones where Roscoe's been put on the spot under pressure.
Yeah.
Like with Samantha or at the Tremere Tribunal.
Your favorite scenes were you and Dave doing "I Can Show You the World"?
Those were fun too. Yes.
There needs to be a Roscoe and Dave buddy cops.
Roscoe and Dave doing the Aladdin flying carpet.
Yep. and I wish I'd been there to see, Captain Caputo in command.
Yes.
Well, you did on the final episode. You all went boating again.
Right, but the original one, the first
and
time.
Spirit touched Jenny's finger.
Yes.
That was one of those things that the players did, and I was like, that's just fucked up. Let's roll with it.
Oh my God.
Spirit touched my finger. Wait, what? Okay, that's a new thing. That's now canon. I love unique uses of disciplines, and that was unique, all right.
I mean, thank goodness Tremere are freaks. Okay.
Anyone else got a favorite scene before we go on?
Are we good? Okay, we good. All right, for the storyteller, favorite scene to run and favorite response or role play reaction from each PC, and that's from Logan Griffo as well.
We've had through so many seasons, so many damn good scenes. It's a hard one to answer. I did like Etienne and Jackie's interaction when he was losing his bond. But then again, I also enjoyed some of the ways she dealt with Dawn, even though Jackie hated Dawn. I loved her interactions with Tyrus because it showed Jackie don't put up with shit. Those are fun scenes to do. Every time her and Cedric met, I loved those scenes. I loved being Cedric. He's kind of a favorite also to me.
Cedric.
Isabella, you're going to laugh at me. My favorite scene with you was the desk. God. When I had the oblivion seep into your desk and all you're upset about is the desk. That was your desk. I love that. Is such a minor thing, but it's such a great scene because it just shows how Isabella is so upset that this desk has to be gotten rid of because it's an antique and it's been with you so long. And you're like, it's showing that Toreador side of, I have to get rid of my desk. What the fuck? It's not bad enough that you gave me this cursed object. No, it's the fucking desk.
The cursed object was gone. I mean, the desk was the desk was the lasting impact. That was the thing she actually had to deal with.
I love the scene, the priest scene with Jenny, where she saw Tasha break fucking bad on her and just go fucking buck wild on the priest. And, she went just brutal with it. And we kept the details kind of vague at times because, Twitch TOS, we can't show her torturing the priest. She was torturing the priest. I mean, that's what she was doing. She was not happy with him. I enjoyed watching Roscoe deal with, the tribunal was fun. But let's be fair, the first time you met Carl Streck, so pleasant, so, said at the tea shop, he's being nice, he's talking all conversationally, but at the same time, he's threatening your life in a smiling, happy way. I mean, that was I love that fucking scene. Nicholas, I loved every time you went to the madam because I knew you would push a button. I knew you'd fucking push a button. And
what am I supposed to do with a button if it's not like they're there to be pressed? Right.
Jenny, I loved how Corey was not supposed to be more than one episode. Corey was going to be there one episode and then be in the background. And then you start flirting with her. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is going to be a little bit more than one episode, everybody.
That's because the player doesn't know shit. And the character was just like, hey, yo, girl, let's get you a number.
Yeah.
So.
No, I loved it. And Lamar, this is an old scene for you, but it was when you were in the cards before we knew you were going to be absent. And your wife grabbed the reel while I was having her talk, and you interrupted me to scream, wait, because she was driving you into the river. We try not to talk over each other. That is one of the few cases where the interruption was fucking perfect. I love that scene just for your reaction to the scene and how we handled it. That was one of those small scenes that to me still sticks out in my memory.
I still love that scene. And yeah, he was still a bit salty after that, but once he understood what was going on, it's like every relationship. It's like, okay, fine. You threw me in the river. I guess I kind of deserved it a little bit. So
got staked by a piece of wood, driftwood,
It's like, okay, can we just talk it out next time?
But then she felt really bad about it afterwards.
Yep.
Can we just talk it out next time before we get to that point?
And that's just one of those small scenes that I fucking love. I mean, it was just a great little scene. It doesn't have to be a big scene sometimes. It's funny. So, everyone, that's T one.
Okay, well, that was the question.
Yeah.
All right. So Astral Aberration asks, out of all the SPCs you didn't get to murk, who would you most have wanted to take out?
Isha.
Tally.
Nero. Oh, wait. It's Tally, Nero.
There's like a list.
Dawn.
No, I didn't want to take out
No,
Dawn.
Jenny, Dawn.
Dawn, yeah.
I'm mad I didn't get to murder Roscoe. That scene with Sunchi and Samantha, I tried to make them fail frenzy rolls. I kept rolling frenzy to see so one of them would fail, and I could not fail the roll to save my life, and I was mad. I didn't think he'd get killed, but it would have been real fucking bad when they fucking frenzied, and I could not fail a frenzy roll. The only ones who failed frenzy rolls, by the way, was Nicholas.
Yeah, Nicholas lived in frenzy like a little baby kangaroo in a pouch. Like it was a safe space with frenzy.
You never met a frenzy roll that you could pass.
Yeah, no, I think I failed every single one I did.
I think Lamar failed one frenzy roll way back at the beginning of the Chronicle, which led to like him he killed someone and put him in a dumpster.
Miser Mark brought up a good point. I have people I have made frenzy have always failed their frenzy rolls.
Yeah, Damien failed his frenzy roll and went and killed Balthazar.
Yeah.
Did you make Isabella have to roll a frenzy roll at some point?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Because it was about the scalp he mentioned.
Yes.
The too soon reference about the scalp from Braden.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the frenzy.
So Isabella might have passed
it.
hers.
She passed it, though.
You passed it.
Yeah, Keisha, I knew was going to be on the list
Oh,
from
yeah.
people.
Yeah. Keisha, Tally,
Victor. Y'all mad y'all didn't get off Victor? Because for a while there, y'all planned to kill him.
That bitch owes favors.
Yeah, but for a while there, y'all had him on the list.
Lamar wanted to shoot him in the face.
Genghis.
Genghis.
By the end, I don't think Victor bugged me as much as he did at the beginning. But I do have that innate, like, Ash every single Tremere. The clan's a waste, be gone. But yeah, I would say Keisha over Victor for me, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
That was fucking time invested. We should have gotten that bitch on screen.
We should have had a resolution to that. That was time and plotting invested. Damn it. I got no return on our investment.
I think Lamar would now like to have that fist fight with Genghis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just to get that out of the system.
Kaiser Mark said he'd like to have seen the altercation between Damien and Balthazar. Trust me, wouldn't have been much of a fight.
Nah, that was over quick.
Damien, his generation. Damien is 6th generation.
Yeah. Okay, so TiVo asks, rotating clockwise by 1, how would each character be different if they were the other's clan? So, for example, Jackie as Tremere, Isabella as Ventru, Jenny as Toreador, Lamar as Gangrel.
You're going the way it's it would be
yeah, so
Tremere,
he said clockwise as the cast, but counterclockwise
Isabella Ventru,
is
Jenny Toreador, yeah. That's
Hey.
confusing, but we can work through it.
Yeah, so how would Isabella be different if she was a Ventru?
I think she would be more mature.
Okay. How would Jenny be different if she was a Toreador?
She never would have had the stick in her ass.
Okay. How would Lamar be different if he was a Gangrel?
Oh, God.
Yeah, you think it was bad now. He would, definitely clan, I'll fuck you up. Like,
been a lot more murder.
A lot more bodies dropped.
How would Nicholas be different if he was a Lasombra?
First off, thank you for not making me a Tremere. Second, I'd be useful in a fucking fight.
Nicholas was bad in fights. I mean,
how would Roscoe be different as a Hecata, especially Cappadocian?
Well, I imagine he would have capitalized a lot more on his occult side and spent time with the spirits.
if you were Hakata and you had split the shroud when Corey shoved Samantha into the underworld, would you have gone after her?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So that's also an interesting thing because to split the shroud, you have to kill somebody. So
grab somebody off the street.
Allison.
Yeah.
Grab somebody
Tammy.
off the street. Yeah. And Jackie as a Tremere, ooh. For one, she wouldn't have been a Mithraist. Because Mithras hates fucking Tremere. Yeah, no, she would have been completely, like, fundamentally different. Like, I'm not even sure how that embrace would have happened based on her life. But literally, because, yeah, no, but she would have been less, I wouldn't say she would be less assertive. She would still have that kind of leadership bent to her, but she at the same time would have been just different.
She would have been trying to restore Tremere's place in the city from the get-go.
Yeah, she would have been
jump.
actively trying to restore status. Actively. And probably would have offed Abraham a whole lot sooner.
But would Jackie have been a Tremere loyalist, or would have been she a Karna or Goratrix or Ipsimus?
She was old, so probably a loyalist. Probably a loyalist. But she probably did disagree with the whole, pyramid scheme of having everyone under you bound.
Because I will say, compared to the other clans, Lasombra has it too, Cam versus Sabat, but this was a Cam game. Tremere, there's a lot of variations when you start looking at the sub-factions of Tremere that really change a character.
Oh, yeah.
Because Roscoe was Tower loyal, but not that loyal in some ways. He was actually closer to knowledge for the sake of knowledge, which is more Ipsimus / Goratrix kind of thing than Tremere, though he was not a Sabat or Anarch.
Right.
Because that was Roscoe. A lot of knowledge for the sake of knowledge.
And yeah, it would have had to have been a completely different character for Jackie. There would be nothing recognizable between the Ventrue and the Tremere.
Chronicle would have been totally different.
Would have been totally different. But that's an interesting question, an interesting thought exercise to how would that have played out differently? Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I'm scrolling down. There's lots of conversation, which I will read later. Great Cthulhu says, I can't believe I have to sit through this ministry slander. It's only slander if it's not true.
I may have poisoned her feelings about ministry. She played one briefly, but
I fucking hated it.
But what really poisoned her view of ministry was my Reverend Amir character, because I was obnoxious about it, which was the fun of playing him.
Oh my God. He always plays obnoxious as fuck characters.
No. Dr. Samuel Ludlow was not obnoxious.
That's because that was a self-insert. Every other character you've played literally has been obnoxious as fuck. Killian, obnoxious as
yeah,
fuck.
that was fun. I loved playing him as obnoxious. Not gonna
Reverend
lie.
Amir, obnoxious as fuck. All right, so TiVo also asks, now that the Chronicle is over, would you do it all over again?
Yes.
With this table, yes, absolutely.
In a fucking heartbeat.
Yes, 1,000 times, yes.
And I know this is throwing some shade. I would have loved to have had this cast right here from the beginning.
From the beginning.
We had some good players come, good players go. I would have loved to have had this cast right here from season 1.
From the beginning.
It's just a fact. I loved playing with Eleanor.
Do it all over again with this cast.
If I could do it all over again with just this cast the whole time, yes. In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It has been, I am not joking when I say it has been a pleasure to play with this cast right here. It has been a pleasure.
I have looked forward to my Thursday evenings recording this with these folks.
Even with the players that like to do same day call outs, I'd still do it again. That is a particular thing. People understand it. That particularly triggers the shit out of me.
Mental health be like that sometimes, though.
But I would still do this start all over again with the same cast. I'd love to. That don't mean you all get into the next Kansas City Chronicle, because sometimes you got to change the cast a little.
Great Cthulhu says, do you think Persephone would find it endearing or would murder you immediately if you pronounced her name Persephone?
I can answer that one. So she'd find it hilarious, and you'd hear a slight tearing sound, and then you'll go hang out with Ginny's sister.
You notice she never called herself Persephone.
Mm-mm.
She referred to herself as Corey.
And we saw, how she takes to even the slightest insult. I mean, somebody just stands up in front of her and like, poof, you're gone.
She's playful. She is coy. But at the same time, she's fucking terrifying.
Nicholas would take the risk-free transport to the other side so he wouldn't have to kill somebody to go over there.
But would you want to meet the Lady Fate?
Look, Nicholas doesn't know a lot of shit, okay? I'm just saying, that's a pretty big button. So, yes.
I loved that Methuselah Corey, putting her in there, because I wanted to show a different type of Methuselah. You have Portia, stick up her ass, fucking, Toreador.
Queen bitch.
You have Menelaus. He is a planner. He is an old school Bruja, the warrior poet. He plans, he plots. He's not the over emotional modern knights, cause kind of a Methuselah. And then Corey, playful, coy, but at the same time, still a Methuselah.
KoFi asks, will we ever later get a Where Are They Now update, say in a few years? I think it's better to leave that to the fans' imagination. I really do. We told a complete story. We told how a group of unrelated kindred came together formed bonds of loyalty that will last ages. And they basically worked their way up into significant position within the Camarilla.
But let's be fair, before we went live, somebody mentioned about a possibility of maybe at some point doing a one-shot that revisits this tale.
They did.
It is a possibility. The problem is, again, if we did that, the history of Shanky vampire one-shots would mean I'd have to kill them all.
And that's not allowed. Sorry.
And it'd be a fucked up way to end their story.
Kill Tally, so she has to survive.
It'd be a fucked up way to end their story with me murdering everybody.
They become an Alistair, okay?
I would say the one exception, and it's been mentioned a bunch of times, 100% I would do, if Shanky does a Wraith one shot where Nicholas is there, I'll do it. And he can even fucking kill Nicholas, do whatever he's got to do, because that would even be in Nicholas's like story arc, because he is running head first into fucking oblivion. Like, he'll take it.
We also joke that because Red wants to be, when I do a Wraith one shot, maybe Isabella got killed at some point. Then we have Wraith Isabella and Wraith Nicholas in the same cohort as their Wraiths. That would be watching those two go at it again in Afterlife would be quite interesting.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Imagine
they would be
something
there, like siblings on a van. Stop touching me on each other.
While their two shadows,
My air.
while their two shadows are collaborating together
Yes.
to fuck both of them.
Yes.
But I was going to say, imagine what if they found a way to work together on the other side? People would be fucked.
Yeah, I feel like death might be a bit humbling for Isabella. I feel like it'd be a mind fuck, to say the least. And she might be different. I don't know. Maybe her relationship with Nicholas would change. And I think it'd be cool to see.
I mean, that is a possibility. We may do. I just haven't figured out what story to tell in a one or two shot of Wraith yet. But as soon as I do, that is not going to be a casting call. That is going to be a strict invite game. Because of the nature of Wraith, I have to make sure that the players that are going to play at the table have a certain level of emotional maturity, mental maturity, and
respect for
respect for each other. It is not one I would ever open casting call like that, because having played it, it's not one that you just open casting call. It's just not.
You have to be very selective with Wraith.
You can traumatize the players, not even the characters. You can traumatize the players too easy.
Yeah.
As the fanboy, I had mentioned this in our Zoom chat when the scene happened. Even just that little bit with Nicholas getting to talk to his shadow when Raylan did it, still like got me like in the gut, and that was just a little bit, and yeah,
it can get real intense real quick.
Wraith is a great game. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of people stream it, and there's a reason why not many people have played it, and the reason why you don't find many storytellers that can run it.
Yeah, well, because you're playing characters that are literally the embodiment of pure emotion. So it gets real fucking intense.
And there's a lot of gaslighting built into the fucking system.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be triggering. So that's, yeah.
Celestial asks, NPC that you wish you had more time with or learned more about.
Didn't you already say that one, Jackie? You wish you got to spend more time with scenes with Dredd?
Well, I wish I could have, but I already learned more about him. I just never got to play that out. I would have loved to have explored more with Cedric. That one's got a lot of layers. And a lot of them he still hasn't shown Jackie.
There was significance to him playing chess with Dredd at the end. That is not going to be discussed. You can speculate, everyone, on what the real significance of him playing chess with Dredd was. Cedric was always playing the game.
Oh, yeah.
Even his lessons to Jackie was a chessboard of its own.
Mm-hmm. I have some speculation about that.
And we'll leave it speculation.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the only, I guess, NPC is, but for me, it's more guest player character is Alessandro, because I still don't know a lot about that whole character's backstory. So me as a viewer would want more information on exactly everything that was going on with him and Zal, because that whole thing was fascinating.
There's a lot
to
of
me.
stuff that Alessandro Maddox, the player of him, had that he knew about that never came out in the story. There was a lot of details that never came out, but they were there.
Yeah, I think I actually have to agree with Alessandro. I didn't think about that, but as part of the revenge plot, I had this whole thing with Giovanni that didn't get to happen because of time frames, but also it's just fun role playing with Maddox.
Oh yeah,
Like I always have a good
he's
time
so
with
much
it.
fun.
Yeah.
Now he's an outstanding role.
Anyone else? Come on.
Khadijah,
Yes.
since she was Lamar's mala, yeah, Khadijah and
Aisha.
Aisha, yes, both of them. I mean, I definitely feel like Aisha kept Lamar on his toes all the time. So having a lot more time with her would have been fun. But him learning from Khadijah, I think that would have been interesting to see where Lamar went after being like schooled by a Banu Hakim. Like, could he ever like tone it down and be more like even more cerebral, or would he still be like, the hired gun type?
Anyone else?
Well, it would have been nice to spend more time with my sire. I don't know.
There's, I love the guest players. We love using them, but it can be very difficult to do long story arcs with them because as much as we love the guests, it's still the tables game, not the guest game. So it can be very difficult to do big arcs with them. So.
I apologize. I really don't feel like I have a good answer for this. I was trying to think about the different SPCs. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe Parmesan Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, she was probably of the Bahari that she interacted with. She was the one she interacted with the least.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like when I interacted with her, it wasn't very Bahari-tastic, which was kind of nice in its own way. So yeah, it probably would have been her, honestly. So.
I think she was an interesting character that we really didn't get to see why she's interesting.
I feel that. I get you. Yeah, she always felt very interesting, and you're just like, you seem really interesting and cool, but then also it's like, we got to run.
Yeah, exactly. We never had the time to really sit with her and get to know her. Yeah.
It's also why our Kansas game will have a slightly smaller cast because 6 players, there's a lot of scenes the players didn't get to do.
I did think of another one, Tendon Ripper, because he was in a lot of the periphery scenes, but like, and we knew a bit about his beliefs, but not really like who he was and why he was who he was. And I think there were like a lot of opportunities for that just other things came up.
Yeah.
There was a purpose in Tendon Ripper in a lot of ways that, I didn't get to fully go and show.
I would have liked to seen more with Kevin.
The problem is the prince just don't hang with,
I know.
I mean, you weren't court positioned.
I know. But I think he's actually fascinating as a young Ventru prince.
He's trying his best.
Right.
And he fails a lot, but he's trying.
He fails a lot, but he's trying. And I think there's actually a lot more to him that would have been interesting to see. But we just didn't have the opportunity nor the position to be close enough to him to really get to see it.
I know you all are going to hate me for this. I wish y'all could have got more time with Genghis. There's a lot more to him than meets the eye.
The problem is he was always so fucking obtuse.
He is.
And I know that was his defense mechanism because he's outnumbered in a cam area. But at the same time, he's always so fucking obtuse and deflective that nobody can get close to him.
He was a rich boy of privilege, embraced Bruja, that really does care about the Anarch movement. And there's a lot of bits to him that never came up that are, I know a lot of people called him a poser. He's not. He really does believe in what he's trying to do, but there's just not enough time to show it, you know?
You're talking about there's a lot of bits of him that didn't come up, but I'm pretty sure those bits came up. Sorry, that was
just
joke,
around
y'all.
Isabella and in Destiny before that. And, you know, he had a thing for roses. I mean, come on. Bruja and Toreador is a classic romance. Come on. It's the Romeo and Juliet of Kindred.
Isabella doesn't do romance, though.
Well, of
Not
course.
the romance side of things.
That's perfectly fine. Okay, Miser Mark says, one final meta question from me. What is the one discipline you enjoyed the most, either as your character or just one present within the Chronicle? Oh, easy, fortitude.
God damn you and your fucking Portia trying to mind read you twice.
Twice
and she failed. Fuck that.
Fortitude, baby. It is
Oh my gosh.
literally the equalizer. I love that discipline.
When I had 8 successes early game and then Portia had the 11 on reading mine. I remember that now. I like Proteon a lot. I think, especially when you have, I think it's Dominate with it. Or maybe Dominate or Present. I think it's Dominate. Where you can do Vicissitude and like just follow that train period. Because I think there's a lot of possibilities with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could do a lot of things. Like for like Nicholas's like hiding the ring, you can do that. You can change your shape face to look like other people. You can have armor. You can have weapons. There's a lot of possibilities.
And
I
you
think
can do it in a
explore.
way that's not an edge so sharp that you can shave with it, too.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of edgelords love the Zmitzi for the edgy part of it, but you can play it without going edge, and there's a lot of use for it.
It's just practical in some ways. Like I think one of them mentioned, like I think Ridlin mentioned another point, like the plastic surgeon almost
Yeah.
aspect of it. Like that's a cool idea to go with it.
Unchanging Kindred, and you can change them.
Spoiler, that's what I am actually planning to play in Kansas City.
We had the same idea. I hate to tell you this. I had the same idea. I was like, oh shit. And I saw your list. I was like, oh no. I'm not
Competing
gonna get
plastic
that then.
surgeons, you're always fighting over who gets the most business. One of you is a plastic surgeon who does the cosmetic stuff, and the other one is a plastic surgeon that handles accident victim reconstruction. So you have two different fields and different views on what you should be using the disciplines for. And there you go. You can have two that do the same kinds of things, but for different reasons. See, you could work it.
I was going to say for me, Oblivion, but very, very specifically, like the other half that Nicholas didn't get to use. So there's like the other half of like the necromancy side, but then there's also the La Sombra useful in a battle side. It's just I feel like there's so much variety in that one specific discipline that makes it really, really interesting.
I would say, I mean, of course, Oblivion, Arms was the game winner. So it came in handy so many times over the course of the Chronicle that I absolutely love that one by itself. But the other half of Oblivion with the necromancy stuff, I thought was really cool. And Lamar with necromancy, I don't know that anybody would have wanted that particular smoke. Same with high level blood sorcery.
The viewers don't know. Lamar had blood sorcery.
Yes. He only used it a couple of times, like to spider climb the walls, which I think freaked a couple of people out the few times they saw it. But Lamar with higher blood sorcery, also like him and Roscoe working in tandem, I think that would have been like, oh shit, what is happening right now?
Jackie had blood sorcery by the end too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. Okay, Jenny, we know what your favorite discipline is. You've said it on the Discord so many times.
What's my favorite discipline?
Obfuscate. You love obfuscate.
Oh, yeah. I fucking love Obfuscate.
It's great.
I fucking love Obfuscate. It's such a fun discipline that you can use for proactive, reactive. You can use it to enhance a scene if you do it right. Like, I loved having it for Silence of Death so I could activate it in that scene with Tasha when she came back from fleeing from Krytus. Just having that, like, creepy... There's that element of creep that gets added into it without being super, super, super over the top. I mean, at that point in time, if I had celerity, she could have blinked to the door. That still would have been creepy. But like that whole thing of like you see him but you don't hear him kind of thing. I don't know. I just love Obfuscate. It's the one discipline that I have to like not play because I fucking love it so much. So yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Roscoe?
My favorite was Auspex, actually, to be able to get the intel from a distance, before the KoFi went in.
Roscoe was funny as the Tremere because you really were the scout, the tracker, the investigator of the group for that.
Mm-hmm.
Between Clairvoyant, Spirit's Touch, and Illuminate Trail of Prey, which was not Auspex, but that was a handy toolkit that led to the same things that goes with Clairvoyance and Sense the Unseen. And, your premonitions were minor. You weren't a seer Tremere, so it wasn't like with Eleanor, where Eleanor was a seer Malkavian. So lots of premonitions for Eleanor. Roscoe didn't get them as often. But Roscoe, yeah, Clairvoyance was, damn, you used the shit out of that one.
All right.
And Spirits Touch Jenny's finger.
Yes.
And Benway's cursed objects.
Yes. Oh, God. But I love it because we got so much good intel out of Roscoe.
I attest every coterie needs somebody with high auspex.
High auspex. Yeah.
I know Berlin hates premonition. Doesn't matter.
Hate premonition. His premonitions confuse the fuck out of me.
But his weren't like the seer style because his premonition of run in the club before it got blown up.
Mm-hmm.
That premonition caused Jenny to switch to Bear to force people to run out of club so that when it got blown up, not as much damage was done.
Right.
That is one of the cases where premonition, even if you're not getting, because his wasn't built on a seer, I generally gave him very few actual premonitions. Most of his was danger sense because Roscoe, he's Ralphie in the back of the bus. I'm in danger. He needs that premonition to warn him of that.
He should have listened to it when it was telling him to stay the fuck away from Samantha then. I'm just giving you a hard time.
We're deaf to certain things, and yeah.
Okay, that leads me into the next question. Hang on. TiVo asked, does Roscoe regret Spirit touching Jenny's finger?
Not even remotely. No.
Tremers are freaks, y'all.
That's right.
He's like, this is close to that hentai that we were watching that time.
If you read the Camarilla book, even Victoria Ash says Tremere are freaks.
Anyone that's stuffy in public, when they let loose, they let loose.
Gotta let loose.
Mm-hmm.
And now they can't bond other kindred? Oh, man, they can get really kinky.
They can get really kinky. All right, so Great Cthulhu asks, this has probably been asked in previous Q&As, but what were the 3 clans you originally picked for these characters? For Jackie, I picked Toreador, Ventru, and Ministry.
And she became Ventru.
Because all 3 would have been appropriate for what equates to a Parisian courtesan in the Belle Epoque period.
Does everyone even remember their 3?
Oh, I know what mine are.
I remember 2.
I remember mine.
We'll go right clockwise. We'll go right around the table. Isabella?
Yeah, so I remember Toreador and Ventru, just because she grew up on a vineyard. So like she had the aspect to it, but I think her sister would have become the Ventru. She was a Toreador, obviously, with how it would have played out. I don't remember my 3rd though.
I don't remember either.
Jackie, have notes to that effect somewhere?
I do somewhere, but I don't have them handy.
I was gonna say, wasn't Isabella's 3rd like Bruja?
Might have been.
It was something.
Was it?
Something that was kind of very far out there.
It
from
was a
those
little
other-
out
from the
there
other
for
two.
what you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was either
That's why I don't
Bruja-
remember it. It didn't fit
Yeah.
very well.
I was gonna say it was either like Bruja or Ministry, but I think it was one of those goofy ones. Yeah. Cthulhu and Shamble hearing Ministry called goofy.
Emotional damage.
They're goofy.
Hi, Teeth.
Kaitief.
Kaitief. Yep, that was what it was.
Kaitief. Okay. Close enough to Bruja and Ministry. Just mash them together. No, I had Gangrel, Nosferatu, and Hecata. But it was not Spirit Hecata. It was actually Lamian Hecata, so it wouldn't have had any of the spirit stuff. It was very much a totally different breed.
We
of
would have had
Hecata,
a lot
so.
more Bahari focused story with that.
Yeah.
Well, it was Bahari focused, but it was also just like from a character standpoint, it was super, super not close to anything that like what you expect when you think of like Hecata.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
See if Lamar remembers his. He said he did.
It was Lasombra, Ventru, and Banu Hakim.
You would have
Yeah.
made an interesting Banu Hakim.
Oh, yeah.
I think the
It would have
next
been
time
hot.
I play vampire, I'm gonna go for Banu Hakim. I want to go for Banu Hakim.
It would have been hot. Not like Lamar wouldn't, but that would.
Nicholas, you remember yours?
Yeah, I specifically remember mine because all three of mine were ones that we didn't have representation, and that was one of the big things was I didn't want duplicates. Obviously Hecata, and even doing Session Zero, I don't think Nicholas was ever going to be anything not Hecata. I mean, I realistically, I think I went in there. I kind of knew what I wanted for Nicholas, and everything kind of got pushed toward there. I think the closest would have been maybe Nas, which was number 2. And then the third was Banu. Because, yeah, and specifically I remember those 3 because they were 3 that didn't have representation at the table, and I wanted to do something else.
And I remember Roscoe's 3 if he doesn't. I actually remember yours. It was Tremere, Lasombra, and
Right.
Banu Hakim.
Okay, I've forgotten the third one.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
I gotta say though, seeing how you, Gavin, played Lamar as a Lasombra, seeing you play a Banu would be freaking amazing.
I could have seen Roscoe as a Banu,
I could
as
see
a
that
Vizier.
as a Vizier. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
I could see Gavin playing more of a warrior cast Banu, where Roscoe would have been more of a Vizier
The
cast.
scholars.
The
Mhm.
scholars. Mm-hmm.
That was when the things for this chronicle. I wanted to play something that was not primarily a combat character.
Yeah. Well, because your first chronicle, you played a Kaitief.
And
Right.
you did like a lot of D&D players who
And
go
Pathfinder players.
right, and Pathfinder players who go into Vampire. They play Kaitief, and you did Celerity, Potence, and Fortitude,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
which is because if you're a D&D player, Vampire can be hard to understand all these disciplines. But if you come from D&D, Fortitude, I'm tougher. I know what that does. Celerity, I'm faster. I know what that does. Potence, I'm stronger. Makes perfect sense.
Right.
Easy to, I know how to apply these in situations.
Hit harder, hit faster, and take damage.
Right. That's something
Right.
that,
Right.
new to Vampire, it's very easy to grasp.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have the last question before we get into some of the cast questions before we wrap up. Logan Griffo does ask, will you be sharing in Discord your final character sheets?
I will be transferring the final character sheets into PDF form because right now they're in Fantasy Grounds. And I will be posting those to Discord.
Yes.
Now that the Chronicle is over, I will share the character sheets.
And
I won't have all the backgrounds. I will share their stats, their everything. I'm not going to have like their whole history and everything, but we will share their actually how they were built out as characters into the Chi-Town chat for posterity.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're aware, my plan for Kansas City, A Domain Divided, is to create 6 new lore sheets. 1 for each player sitting here right now. I'm going to have to work with you as the players who are playing these characters to help come up with lore sheets based on your characters so that we have those as options for the Kansas City people because the first episode of Kansas City is going to start in Chicago. That is my plan for Kansas City. Starts in Chicago right where this chronicle ended. And all the fucked up shit going on in Chicago. And something is going to happen that causes the characters to go, we're fucking leaving the city like Jenny wanted to for so long. And we're jetting the fuck out. And we're going somewhere where we have a chance to be something else other than fucking paste under the heels of whoever's in charge. So that is the premise for it. So we want lore sheets based on these characters because maybe the players in Kansas City, some of them knew the cast sitting here. So I'm going to have lore sheets based on them.
I'll tell you all right now. Anyone in Kansas City, don't take the Nicholas one. It's bound to be useless.
Nope. Nicholas will have one, I can't fight, but I can sure plague your ass, something like that.
Just take a normal Hakata one.
But I'm going to work with the players and try to come up with some good lore sheets to make them as an offer because I think it'd be cool. Who knows if anyone will take them, but it's the continuation of the Shankyverse, so we're going to do that.
Alrighty, so now I'm going to open it up to the cast here. If you have any questions you would like to ask everyone here.
I had one. Let me see if I can remember what it was. I might have wrote it down, thankfully. I hope.
I have one
that
kind of ties into this last question. If you were to play a different character, not even necessarily this character, but a different character in Chicago, what clan would you go with?
I can answer that. Being 100% truthful, I would have pushed harder to go with the Hakata that I wanted to play, because it would have still offered the group a little bit of combat prowess and some tankiness and stuff, but it would have been a different character with potentially more ties instead of listening to a bad actor at the time who I was allowing to kind of push certain things that I didn't necessarily want to, but I didn't want to cause strife because I was just happy to be at the table. So also, it would not have been anything like the Ginny that everyone saw. In all reality, it would have been a totally different character. So
I honestly couldn't imagine being anything else other than a Toreador. Like, I think that this whole thing was great the way it was, and I don't think I would have had as much fun playing a different one, which is the way everything made up. So I gotta
say, this was your first real vampire game. I know you said you got to play once at a convention. That wasn't a great experience, but this was your first time playing vampire, and it was in a long-term chronicle. And there's more than once Relyn and I made comments while watching the episodes or after recording that you were quintessential fucking Toreador.
Yes.
Some of the things you did, it's like Red is so Toreador with this character. The way she's playing Isabella is so Toreador. And even though it was your first time playing in a vampire chronicle like this, you were Toreador. You pulled it off 100% Toreador. So props to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't imagine being anything else for this.
If the Prince were to put together a new Wicker Park crew, if I had to choose from any of the clans that are here at the table, I would give Tremere a serious shot. Just because Urian had the deadpan Tremere book guy, but also Roscoe was also very much like no one knew what he could everything he could really do, and face tanked a Bruja, he face tanked a Bruja and lived to tell the tale. I'm like, someone needs to put that on one of those recruitment posters.
And he didn't have fortitude yet.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It hurt a lot.
It hurt a lot. That's why Jackie gave him some fortitude.
And so the viewers know.
Fortitude is the equalizer.
So the viewers know. When the players start sharing disciplines like that, I start having the NPCs do a lot of discipline sharing, because if the players are going to do it, you opened up the can of worms. I'll do it a lot more often.
Jackie's just trying to protect those that are loyal. Give them some fucking fortitude so they can take a hit or two, okay?
You know, if the players don't share, you'll see it a lot rarer that you're doing a lot of cross disciplines. It's only the old kindred that, because they have nothing else to do. But once the players start sharing it, you've opened a can of worms. And Pandora's Box is, I can play that game too, people.
Honestly, if I played, you know, this setting again, I would personally have to stick with high clans, because in Chicago, the high clans just have a leg up. They do. I would probably do Toreador.
Jackie be trying to dethrone Annabelle.
No.
Not as Primogen, just dethrone Annabelle in general. Just
yeah,
'cause.
I mean, but I would have focused on different things. I legit would have focused on different things with a Toreador. After playing Toreador as my first, that kind of went a little more Ventrue than Toreador, and then actually playing a Ventrue that went very fucking Ventrue, I would probably explore a Toreador that is more of the artist. I think that would be fun, because it would open up new things.
Okay, who's next? Come on. Don't be shy.
Well, you know, originally I thought perhaps the Sombra, but no, I don't think I would choose something other than Tremere.
Yeah, you had a lot of fun being Roscoe, even if you were a button pusher like Nicholas.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're just calling it like you see it.
That's right.
I'm just saying what I saw.
I think for me, to answer my own question, I would either do there's the part of me that is going to have, I feel like, this eternal like bucket list character, because they've made Salubri so goddamn difficult to play, to do like a Kaitif that is Salubri. But realistically, in Chicago, I would probably want to do Nas, just because the access to information in a city like Chicago.
They are so influential in Chicago.
Yeah, and just having played Nas in the past, like, I think doing that in a Chronicle like Chicago would be a lot of fun.
I have a question
Okay,
for everybody
go
for the
for it.
table. What was your favorite storyline that was character specific, like for your character? For the entire Chronicle. I'm not talking about just obviously not this last season, but just like the entire Chronicle.
I loved the whole. We've been planning the Nicholas Isabella fight since before Amelia was embraced, and I am very proud that we all came up with that story together. And I think I liked it a lot because of that. And so I think that was just my favorite. Like, I think it was a good way, at least for me, to engage in like collaborative storytelling, because like we had an idea going beforehand, we role played it out, and like, no, it didn't always end up the same. That's why it was so great. And yeah, so I think that was mine.
I liked Roscoe's the character arc. You know, like, was he going to support Tremere? You know, was he going to support the pyramid or Presidium? You know, was he not? Was he going to move more towards Karna? And how that all played out.
That tribunal was a linchpin moment in Roscoe's kindred history and is going forward, I think, in a lot of ways. You found out why they were lying about Sun Chi. And I think it did change Roscoe's opinion a little bit about the pyramid.
In some small ways, yes. But it was still a power play on their part.
Oh yeah.
of jerks. So,
Well, we are jerks. Let's be
Yeah.
fair.
yeah, they are. You don't
They
have to agree that
stole their
much, right?
entire bloodline. They are a clan that descended from jerks.
I'm racking my brain because I had so many good ones.
I mean, the quintessential Nicholas one was everything with Isabella. It was just like Red said, getting to actually like behind the scenes plan, and then seeing that plan spiral out of control so completely, and then having to go back to the table, and I was like, okay, well, now this has happened. What do we what do we want to do from here? Yeah, there was just so much fun with that. And then getting to be like antagonistic but not to the point where, players walked away from the table, wanting to be, yeah, not feeling like personally attacked or anything was a lot of fun.
That storyline was PvP. Well, I shouldn't even say PvP. I don't like PvP is player versus player. The players should never be fighting each other. That was CVC, character versus character. That was character versus character conflict done right, in my opinion. It was discussed. It was planned. It was consensual by all involved. It was character versus character combat, but not players fighting the other players. Big difference.
Oh, we even bounced off ideas that like Isabella, like that Nicholas would do to Isabella. Like we bounced them off each other to come up with the best idea that we could think of. Like it went both ways. Like we were both plotting against our own characters simultaneously. And it was so good.
It's
It was
the
so
way
much
to do
fun.
it right.
And then it was also keeping the rest of the table involved in it too, as much as possible without like ruining anything. Because we wanted, the rest of the table to try to enjoy it as like a surprise as well, but at the same time, like be aware that, shit's coming.
Other people's favorite storylines.
I will go last. I finally have settled on mine, but I will go last.
I think for me, the beginning with Lamar really trying to establish himself with the Camarilla and the coterie, while also being kind of like, funneling information to Tally, and that the whole balance that he was trying to strike there was, I felt I really had a lot of fun role playing that. And then, for like him taking down a guy, help him take down someone here, filtering the information to Tally up until the very end of that, where, Tally and Lily just straight up violated him, and him having to live with that going forward. I really felt like that kind of gave him a few more layers than just, the Sabat guy the former Sabat guy who came in from the cold.
Well, here's the thing that Lamar never mentioned that wasn't really brought up. Lamar never had a choice about joining the Camarilla.
Also true, yeah.
He joined the Camarilla because he was told by Tally, you are joining the Camarilla. It wasn't a choice. Which, you never said it out loud. You could see it in the way you played it, but it was never said out loud.
So my favorite story was truly the story of Jackie and Dredd. Dredd starting off as her Mala. They developing a truly romantic dynamic with each other as far as the way Kindred do it. It wasn't, rainbows and butterflies romance, but it was a romance. And what really struck me at the beginning of that development of it was I had created a custom predator type for Jackie. It combined Siren and Osiris into one predator type. And I named it Inyana, after the Sumerian goddess. Inyana found her Dumuzi, her god of shepherds, in Dread. He was a shepherd, canon-wise, in life. And I loved that story because because even in the mythology, I wasn't playing it like the mythology, but the way it played out, it was very much a mirror of the mythology. That Inyana wasn't incredibly loyal to him. They adored each other, but she was not totally loyal to him. She totally was willing to sacrifice him if need be. And that is the dynamic that Jackie and Dread have.
And it's a Shanky-verse game. Kindred Romance ends poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Dread lost everything because of his connection to Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
Had he not been connected to Jackie, he wouldn't have been out there. He wouldn't have been out there against Duncan McTavish. Tyrus wouldn't have been out there against Duncan McTavish.
Right.
If not for his connection to Jackie, Nadine would not have bumped him off of there because he would have been more willing to pursue vengeance against Nicholas and his sister.
Right.
He lost everything because his connection to Jackie.
She was willing to sacrifice him.
And that is the way Vampire is for me. You can do Kindred Romance, but I mean, Jenny is gone for 20 years.
Yeah.
Has to leave her empire in someone else's hands that she has spent her entire unlife building.
Yep.
How it be
I
dope.
loved that story, and I loved how it paralleled the actual mythology, too.
And now I have a question for the players.
I didn't say my scene.
Oh, go do your scene then, because I've got a big one.
Sorry. My favorite storyline, honestly, being 100% no bullshit, the Bobby storyline. I fucking loved the Bobby storyline because I think most viewers looking in probably thought I was going to either murk Bobby or I was going to murk his wife or I was going to murk both of them. And then Jenny very sincerely worked to save his worthless punk bitch ass. And like, even in the end, he still didn't believe her, which I loved. I loved the fact that she's just like, whatever, and he just did not believe her. I don't know why. It was such a kind of a like an odd little. I know it was Shanky's attempt to draw Jenny into the story, give me something to do, and I was like, I'm gonna take it. And
Dawn even told you to kill his wife.
Yeah, I know.
And you're like,
I know.
No.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It was one of those things. It was just like, I loved that storyline for just kind of the like not knowing where it was going to go and what was going to happen, and kind of like, why the fuck would I even bother saving his worthless ass? But Jenny had her reasons, so yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was a what started off as just a throwaway part of it that turned into more, you know, because
Exactly.
A lot of the scenes that snowballed into more was me throwing a scene in for somebody or just trying to draw somebody into something, and then when the players latch onto it, it becomes a lot bigger, you know, and that's the beauty of this kind of a table dynamic.
Also, it was perfect because we got to call him the power bottom, even though he had no power in that bottom. He was.
I still hate you all for that one. It was so hard for me not to call him power bottom because of how often you all kept saying it, and my aphasia kept wanting me to fuck his name up.
Hey, there was some good things that came out of that session. Fuck the Blue Velvet and fuck Bobby Power Bottom. You know.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your question, Janky?
This is for you players here. What could I have done better this Chronicle? Constructive feedback here. What do you feel I didn't do good enough at, and what could I do to improve the next Chronicle?
Honestly, I think you're already working on improving the areas that need improving for the next Chronicle. You're having a slightly smaller cast so that we can have more thorough scenes as individual players. Because splitting scenes amongst 6 players means that we have very limited amount of time in each scene to be impactful. So restricting it to 4 to 5 is perfect, because that will allow more time for scenes. That is probably the biggest, I think the resounding thing that keeps coming up amongst all of us as players. Not everyone can please speak for themselves, but the biggest thing that comes up for all of us players is we wish we could have done more. And it's because of the time limitations that we couldn't do more.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then, and I know, a lot of people aren't, I would say, self-starters or initiators, but maybe pressing like each of your next group, maybe being a little bit more on each of the players, like, hey, please, throw some stuff at me on stuff that you would like to do. That way, coming to the start of a game, coming to session start, you're not having to figure out what to throw in there. Like, you're not always having to find so much to throw in there to fill out an episode.
I did throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, seeing what would stick. Not gonna lie,
which was great, but it's like sometimes
that's a lot of stress on you as storyteller. When having your players more prepared would benefit you.
I imagine it's tough on the players too, as you're trying to figure out which ones to follow because so much shit's getting thrown at a wall.
Right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I could think of, and this is pretty minor, it kind of might help with like the having enough time thing, is I feel like when at least I first joined, this could be just because I joined later, but I don't know if the rest felt this way when they first started, was that I felt kind of directionless a little bit at first, just because like I didn't have a tie to this. Well, like Isabella had a tie from the lore sheet, but she didn't have a reason why she was there necessarily or what she was doing, so she was just kind of there. And so I think maybe, and this could have been like something that we could have prepped in advance beforehand, totally. It's just going in more with like, Isabella is here to do this. Like, this is her main priority, which I think you're already gonna do with the lore sheets. Yeah, like any ambition, like, yeah, like they do have the I forget what it's called in the character sheet, the one where you used to get willpower back. Like, you do have that.
That's your ambition.
I think that maybe making that more of a priority, which like maybe it's more of a conversation between you and the player. But like
that is something that through both Vampire Chronicles that he's run so far, ambitions do take a back seat.
And I think that's a disadvantage. They're one of the few disadvantages of the style of Chronicle I like to run, which is the sandbox style. It's something I can try to work on because I do run true sandbox, and for a new player, especially joining an existing cast, it's hard to jump into the sandbox when we haven't come up with the goal.
The base level of your sandcastle.
Right.
It might not even be like having a goal, but like having some connection to the area to like tie into.
And the story,
like maybe,
and what's going on.
And the story.
Yeah.
Like maybe someone who could have like 7 different parts and 7 different stories, but like this person already. So like you have a starting point that you could then use to go elsewhere. Like I said, like
that's good to know. No, that's an important one.
That's great feedback.
Yeah, great feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, other than I know, I mean, I was kind of in the same position like what Red's talking about, because I know like my tie-in was kind of also quickly out of the story almost immediately as soon as I joined, and with all of the different like instability stuff that was going on, so it was one of those things where I was having trouble getting myself grounded in because I was trying to figure out how to work some of this stuff, especially because I had been taking feedback from characters that were from individuals who were no longer part of the cast very shortly after joining. And so all of a sudden I felt like I was kind of floating, which is why I was trying to grab at any of the spaghetti you were throwing at me. But there was a lot of times where I was just kind of like, I didn't feel like I could grab onto it. So I appreciated the spaghetti, and I understand it's stressful, but it was one of those things like I needed the spaghetti, but I also was having trouble like grabbing onto the spaghetti. That's why I grabbed onto the Bobby thing when it came my way. I was desperate for something to do that wasn't just like, yeah, guys, if someone's going to punch you, I'll take the hit for you or whatever, sort of thing I did for a fucking season at least. So, yeah. No, but time management, like, I know I'm hard on myself for time management, so I was also trying to usher myself out of scenes at times. So as I was like, we've got all these people, we need to make sure they get their scenes and stuff. And there was even times like story-wise stuff I purposefully said, hey, let's skip this, or I bookended it really fast, like the thing with her story with her sister, because I was like, I know we have limited time. That was more of a me thing than a you thing necessarily, but like I understand what you're saying, having fewer people, having more time to actually like work through things. But yeah, I think I would say people that want to come into another game, they need to come in with like 2 to 3 stories of their own that they want to pursue, so all the onus isn't on you, but like talk about them with the cast and stuff. So that would have made it probably easier for all of us that came in halfway through to feet hit the ground running, instead of being like, oh shit, please drag us along until we find something we can grab onto. So
And I would say for me, other than, I guess, what everyone else has said, now this is my own personal opinion. Take it for what you will. I personally would have liked a little more imminent danger. There were times where it felt that maybe we were too protected.
You all were too fucking powerful towards the end. Jesus Christ.
No. I'm saying like even like the beginning, like when Nicholas first came in and Isabella first came in.
Well, y'all also came mid-Chronicle too.
Yeah.
We had established some things prior to y'all coming.
More danger, but he died. But more danger. No.
But you threatened it a whole bunch and then did like almost nothing about it.
I get it. I didn't do a good job at the looming danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it felt to me like there were times where the danger was like there and then it was just gone. And it got better, I feel like, especially like the Amelia arc where she would just fucking pop up. And so, yeah, more consistently present danger. I think definitely adds a lot more gravity to decisions being made, because it's like this could come back to fuck me soon, not this could come back to fuck me in 2 seasons.
Okay, that's good.
And follow through on your threats to kill me more often. I got to get fucking other castmates to do it.
That's brave right there to say that. Okay.
I have a Steve Perry sticker on my laptop. How much more brave do I have to get?
Okay. So we get Roscoe now. What you got?
Having been a player in several of your chronicles now, I really don't have any things I wish would be different. Honestly, I think what would have been better is if I had been more prepared coming into a lot of the sessions, knowing exactly what it was I wanted to do. But that's not on you. That was on me, because you presented so many different options, so many storylines to go with.
Well, that can also be challenging too, though, is you have too many options. You get decision paralysis and you're like, I don't know which one to pick.
And my thing is on that one is I do throw a lot out there, and I know I do. I like to let the players decide what threads to follow. That's why there's a number of storylines that you came up and then disappeared. If the players nobody at the table was interested in it, it falls to the wayside.
I will say, though, it is very frustrating when players come up with story and they don't get pursued.
I admit that. That's part of the time. That goes back to the time thing. It
does.
Is the downside of 6 players. Throw in a guest and it makes it even worse sometimes.
Yeah.
So now that I've gotten that good constructive criticism, in response, I'm going to murder Timberbread.
Okay.
Matter of fact, you ready? Murdered.
Boom.
Now he's gone. Or if we're going to do it right, I need to go here. And then we just take this and I dial it. I think it's this way. There we go. There we go. Now I murdered Timberbrad again. Just so you're aware, okay?
All righty. Well, thank you, everyone, for
Nope, Lamar's got a question.
Oh, you have a question. I'm sorry.
Want to get Lamar's last question.
One more question for the cast, since if you could, if there's anyone if there's another member of the coterie that you could have had your character interact with more, who would that be?
Lamar, of course.
Look, Lamar and Roscoe did some buddy cop thing that was pretty cool too. There was a couple scenes of those, but
Yeah.
Aside from like Lamar, because I'm sorry you left. I'd have to say Roscoe, because I feel like we had like a little bit going with Samantha. It's like talking about Samantha,
Right.
but then that ended in like I wasn't there for the end of it. So I feel like maybe if they had like a story they could have done together.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, I think that they had more of a story, like something that they did together rather than just occasionally talking about Samantha.
I feel like this is going to be a trend, but Roscoe, because I would have loved the Nicholas and Roscoe fucking spooky shit matinee.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but you two weren't supposed to go off together by yourselves because the two of you together needed a chaperone. That was actually said at one point.
Hey.
Yeah.
That was as bad as Eleanor and Roscoe had to have chaperones.
That may have something to do with my decision. I'm just saying, I feel like that would be fun.
We would have found the two-man red buttons that take both of us to press.
Yeah, the fucking nuclear launch codes where you got to press them simultaneously.
The codes were 0000 and
I will say for Lamar, more interaction with Isabella and Ginny definitely would have, I think would have been great. I mean, the SS Jackie and Lamar, that ship will never sink, even if it, you know, was permanently mothballed and put in a museum. It's still there. It still exists.
You two would never work long term. Too competitive.
Way too competitive with each other. They're too much alike.
Lasambre and Ventru are two sides of the same coin.
They are way too much alike. So it's good that Lamar is hooking up with Kathy and Jackie just has her dread. It's fine. Yep. I mean, they may hook up on occasion when they need to vent some frustrations, but you know.
The arms are for more. The arms are for loving too.
Exactly.
But also with Nicholas, because I feel like there's always a part of Lamar that's going to be like, if I had been here, would I have seen all that coming, and could I have stopped it?
Yeah.
Or you know, if I couldn't have stopped it, I'd have taken him out before we got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have made it quick.
I 100% agree. I also just want to say Jackie's pretty good at like keeping an eye on Nicholas, and Nicholas still fucked up.
Oh yeah, Jackie tried her damnedest.
He'd have found a way.
By the end of it, Jackie's just, I give up. Fucking, he's gonna die. Fuck it.
Off because she's like, I can't keep expending energy if this guy is just destined to do this. Yeah, because she tried her damnedest. And it wasn't good enough. So.
Other people?
It's hard for me because I feel like as Jackie, she was such a central figure in the coterie.
Everyone kept bringing their problem. Every time somebody had a problem, they brought it to Jackie.
Yeah.
I tried really hard not
Ginny
to.
tried her best not to, but there was still some. But it wasn't even just bringing problems to her. Jackie was just so central to the coterie that she spent a lot of time with each member of it individually. You know, there was always one-on-one conversations with Jackie.
Even Jackie and Jenny did one-on-ones, and you know.
Yeah, so I don't really have any of the coterie members that I feel like Jackie should have spent more time with. But you know, because she was just always there. And being that I was there for 10 fucking seasons playing her and never missed a single episode, she was always there.
In Ventru and a Ventru City.
Mm-hmm. So literally, she was always there when someone needed to have a conversation with her.
I can tell you, anyone who played a Ventru in this chronicle, in the Ventru run city, would have been the central linchpin of the coterie. Because it is a Ventru run city.
Mm-hmm.
And it only makes sense that your Ventru is the one who is the point, because it
was not always easy to play that role. Playing that role sometimes got a little overwhelming. I'm going to be honest. a lot of time, like early, especially early with certain players at the table, it really felt like a lot of problems were being dumped on my character, but nobody was willing to help with my character's problems. And that was massively demotivating. That got corrected and things got much better. But it especially there were some growing pains with myself playing the character with the dynamics that we had at the table at the time. But once we got all that resolved and got amazing fucking people playing and everything was cool and groovy, that was much easier to play. But it still is a challenging role to play that central, linked in character with the powers that be. Because you are going to be vital to everything, to the success of the coterie. You will be. If you fall, everyone falls. So, yeah. But no, I didn't feel like that I missed an opportunity to be more one-on-one with anybody because of being in that role. But that was just unique to the character I was playing.
I was gonna say Ginny spent more time with Roscoe than she thought she was going to. That's for fucking sure. She didn't spend as much time with Nicholas. That was purposeful because his behavior was a little to her, and the fact of what he was like dipping his like fingers into, like, he had like 5 jars of mayonnaise open, he had a finger in each of them kind of shit, and she was like, I'm not into this.
And he kept drinking the milk from the fridge and he just drink it from the carton and put it back, and it's just like, ew, I don't want to be around that.
So honestly, I kind of wish she had spent more time with like Isabella, but like even towards the end, like Isabella's behavior would have been kind of like a turnoff for her. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying that, like, truthfully, probably the person she should have spent the more time with overall would have actually been Jackie. She was kind of avoiding Jackie a little bit because I didn't want to be constantly feeling like I was like stepping on her toes or she was stepping on my toes or whatever. And since we were like very business minded, like strong fucking characters that are just like, we take no shit. And so it was one of those things where it's like having like the two like semi-power women in the same scene kind of feels, I don't know, but it's like, it would have been a great like kind of like mentorship sort of thing, but not from a like, here's my problem, please help me, mommy kind of situation. It would have been like, I can learn from you, you maybe could learn from me sort of situation. And that would have been more Ginny's way of looking at it. So yeah. So I know I basically said everybody, but at the same time, it was more Jackie than the others. Though with like Lamar and his stuff, like her and Lamar would have had a fucking blast until he's like, well, I Church of Cain. I'm like, well, I'm sort of Bahari, and would have been like, God damn it. And then we would have had to like punch each other as we kiss. So, no.
I don't.
It's
have
all love though.
that. So, I got to be in a bunch of scenes, so I'm good.
I do wish we could have explored more of the cults.
I do too, but it's hard to. The cults came out so late. The book came out so late in the Chronicle itself. It was hard to get them in there when they weren't from the beginning, because had it been out when we started, instead of the Sabbat interloper you all found, I could have started the coterie off with a cult in your domain.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Would have been a great way to kick it off, instead of a Sabbat interloper that, Sabbat hasn't been a real thing in Chicago in a while.
Two cult members in the coterie and not a lot of story happening.
We could have done a real good one with this cast from the start, with one Bahari leaning. Lamar didn't get to explore the Church of Cain, Jackie, Mithras, and then me to put a cult in your domain, maybe Michael's cult or, some of those other cults that are there, could have been an interesting way to start it off, to be fair. But you do with what you worked with what the source books that were out in the beginning. So.
All right. So I believe that is all of the questions. Thank you, everyone. This Q&A lasted a little longer because it was our final that encompassed an entire 10 seasons of a Chronicle.
We do have one more request from a viewer. It sent me as a message.
Okay.
They would like, as the cast one more time to introduce themselves, who they are and who they were playing, and their clan one last time.
Hello, everyone. I am Rylyn Dare, also known as Mama McStabber in Twitch chat, and I play Jacqueline Durand of Clan Ventrue.
Hi, I'm Mischievous Red, and I played Isabella Caputo of Clan Toreador.
Good evening. Sorry, sorry about that. No, I'm kidding. Good evening. I am Ivy Raven. I play Genevieve Schutz of Clan Gangrel.
And you're muted. Perfect.
I'm still Urian, and I play Roscoe Akers, Clan Tremere.
I'm Timber Brad 411, and I'll be playing, or I have been playing Nicholas Bowens of Clan Hikata, and temporarily, well, I guess now more permanently, of Haunter.
I'm Gavin, and it was my pleasure to play Lamar Cade of Clan La Sombra.
You all do realize that is the last time you will do that, your intro. I am Shanky McStabber. I'm a storyteller in a lot of things, but I am the storyteller here at Windy City. And this is the last time I will be storyteller for Windy City After Dark.
And thank you, viewers. Truly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
It has been a hell of a ride, people. And I will say it is my pleasure to have been storyteller with this cast and even the cast members who are gone. But this is my longest running chronicle I've ever done. And it has been a fucking pleasure. Not just for been an honor to play with these players. It's been my pleasure to tell a story to the viewers out there. And it's been an honor to have the guest players we had.
And that whole Lamar and Jackie ship, that was because of y'all viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all did that.
I am not joking when I say it has been an honor to play with these players. And I hope playing with you all ups my game a little bit more in Kansas City. It better at least make the bar that was set here. Always try to raise the bar, but it's going to be fucking tough.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be tough.
And thank you, Red. Thank you, Ivy Raven. Thank you, you're any, not your outie. Thank you, Timber Brad.
Timber dead.
Yeah. Thank you, Gavin, for collaborating and playing this amazing game with me. And thank you to my husband for running it.
I've loved it.
Thank you, Shanky.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yes, this has been an incredible story.
Now we're all going to cry.
No, I'm fine.
I'm just glad I was able to be a part of it. Hey, I wasn't even supposed to be here, but
You're not even supposed to be here today. And I've got to say, I'm not as emotionally broken up at the end of this one as I've been with other Chronicles, mainly because unlike DC, unlike Wraith, there were still stories to tell. I didn't feel that the story, even though we ended both of them, I didn't feel we had finished the story that could have been told with what the characters involved. I'll be honest, I feel Windy City, we told a complete story. That's why I think I'm not as emotionally broke up, because I feel we told a full story. Could we have kept going? Sure. But the story felt complete.
At the right spot.
Right. It didn't feel it ended too soon. It didn't feel like there was unanswered questions that needed to be done. So that's why I guess I'm not as emotionally broken up, because the players told a great start, middle, and end. So, and that's important. So I thank you all. And as always, everybody, join our Discord. That is where this show cast from. And as you've heard me mention several times, there is an open casting call right now for Kansas City, A Domain Divided. It will be the next Vampire Chronicle to stream, Modern Knights Vampire Chronicle to stream here at McStabber Studios. I suspect it'll start in the fall, because we got casting call that's going to be open until July 16th. And then once it closes, we got to go through the audition rounds. and get the cast and pick it all out. So the new Chronicle will premiere in the fall. But join our Discord. That is where we cast from. We try to do Zoom Hangouts when we have the spoons and availability. We didn't get to do one last 2 weeks, so I'm pretty damn sure there'll be one next weekend. Though depending, because Roscoe is coming over to help me do some dump runs. So who knows how broken my body is going to be by the time we get that done.
And we'll be having barbecue.
Yep, we're going to get a brisket, either a brisket or a pork butt, and we're going to smoke it on the grill or on my smoker, and we're going to make some barbecue. So we're going to see how that goes. But seriously, join the Discord. You want to catch our back episodes? Go over to YouTube. All the back episodes of Windy City are there. All the back episodes of all the other World of Darkness products. And some of the people you see here have been in other streams with us. Some haven't. Some of them we wish would be in more streams with us. I'm not going to say, because I think everyone here, except for one person, has been in multiple streams with us. And I know who that one person is. He's down there in the corner. And I wish he plays some other games with us once in a while. Everyone else here has been in multiple streams. I'm not going to call out who it is, but he's not a camp counselor.
Fingers or anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to point fingers down, down, hang on, I can get the direct down that way, I'm not going to say who it is, but real life is a bitch. I know, I understand. But I wish they'd play more games with us, because everyone here has been in multiple streams with us at this point, because we like playing with people. You want to get some merch, Windy City merch. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere. It'll still be in our merch store, but sign in, because some of the stuff is adult rated and it won't let you see it unless you're signed in. Look at that.
If it has swear words on it, I have to rate it as adult. So
look drinking from her cup right there, her Windy City cup.
The Camp Wish a Motherfucker Would Camp Counselor t-shirt is listed as adult, so you have to be signed in to Zazzle to see it.
And this is not in the store, so sorry, you all don't get to see it. I'm wearing my Totally Not Sus t-shirt that was printed to the same place, but it was a gift from my wife and a few of our community.
In collaboration with Combustion Girl.
Yep.
And we got that set up so that I could print him a shirt.
Yep. That came from the same place. So, bits and donations, everybody. They go to the players, not to the viewers. This is your last chance to give some bits and donations to the cast. It's a way to give thanks for the emotional shit that I put some of them through. Some of them didn't get put through the emotional ringer. Some of them just put themselves through an emotional ringer, and some of them put themselves through the hell that is every week coming back and playing ups and downs and through life. So, bits of donations that go to the players. If you want to give the studio, subscribe on Twitch, give us a coffee. If you watch on YouTube, of course, subscribe on YouTube, comment on the video, like the video, those kind of things drive it up. We'll never be a profitable studio. That's not our goal. But
our goal is to share stories with you that you enjoy.
But stuff that offsets it for the players and the studio itself is always, we thank you for that. We'll never lock stuff behind content or behind paywalls. That's not our method. Other channels do what you want. That's not what we're going to do. And now I can turn it over to my wife for the schedule.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our final Q&A for Windy City After Dark. Coming up over the next week, we have on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Vampire, the Masquerade, V20, Dark Ages. Yeah, so we made it to the pass finally.
Met Anatole, met Lucida.
Baby sister is a brat.
Lucida in the Dark Ages, before she became what she will be one day.
Yeah.
She's entitled noblewoman.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's interesting. And we found some really sus-ass shit in the basement of this fortress ruins. So yeah, and we're dealing with that right now as we begin the construction of our new fortress in this pass. So join us at 8 p.m. Eastern as we pick up where we left off with our Dark Ages story. And then on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have Ravnos Archon, who has been asking some questions and chattering along in chat, running Star Wars at 8 p.m. Eastern.
West End game version.
Yes, the West End game version. So join him and his crew at 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday. On Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, Tiss and her crew of investigators are playing Call of Cthulhu 7E. They'll be back to being human after their romp through Cat Thulu yesterday.
Yeah, Cat Thulu. Cats are the devil already. Now you put him with Cthulhu? Oh, that's not right.
So join them at 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday as the London Esoteric Society resumes investigations. I'm sure they're going to be looking into some suspicious cat activity.
And then, so next Sunday.
I'm getting to that. And then next Sunday, starting at...
Nope, we're off.
Oh, we're off.
I'm taking a weekend off.
Next Sunday, we are off. Are you doing it the Sunday? No,
on
Sunday,
the 9th.
On the 9th?
Bloodied Fields will be back at 3 p.m.
Yep, but Bloodied Fields will be back on the 9th, which is a Sunday, at 3 p.m. Eastern. Not 5 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern. And once Bloody Fields concludes, which it may conclude that session, very likely, the following Sundays, we will be streaming reruns of Windy City After Dark, starting with the first season.
We're going to go through them all from noon to 10 p.m.
From noon to 10 p.m. on Sundays, you can tune in and watch Windy City from start to finish.
And when Windy City is done and we've gone through all the previous seasons, we're going to do our other World of Darkness content on Sundays. We'll play the mage ones. We'll go through and rerun Wraith, rerun Demon. All of our World of Darkness Changeling, Werewolf. We will be making Sunday from noon to 10 World of Darkness here at McStabber Studios. Reruns. Mm-hmm. It's a chance for those that didn't get to see them to come back and see them.
Yep.
Or not. It's up to you. You don't have to come see it.
That's what's coming up right now. And of course, as Shanky has said, there is an open casting call for our new Modern Knights Kindred Chronicle in Kansas City. So if you are interested in playing that, you need to be on our Discord and apply.
And, please read the casting call because
please.
There are tech requirements, not just for camera quality, but you've got to be able to run Fantasy Grounds while you're running Zoom and those kind of things. Because we do use Fantasy Grounds for Vampire because it's too fucking handy not to use. It is just such a nice thing to have. So please do that. Now, I do want to say, please, everybody, mental health. It's not a joke, not a laughing matter. We take mental health very seriously at this studio, and we want you to be around. So please check in on those around you and make sure they're okay, because I know a lot of people aren't. There are some people who don't know how to deal with everything. And, first of all, don't feel shame admitting that you've got mental health issues, because it's okay to not be okay. Anyone who says they're always okay is either lying or they're not self-aware enough to understand that, we all have rough patches. We all need help once in a while. It's just a fact of life. If you suffer from mental health issues and you can't reach out to those around you because it can be tough, in chat, there's a list of numbers you can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There'll be a professional on the other end of the line, and they will help you out, and they will make sure that you get the help you need, because mental health is health, and we want you to be around whether you watch our streams or not. And if you're not in the U.S., find a helpline.com that you put in your country of origin and find out support lines in your country. It's important, everybody, please.
And I am Mama McStabber. I'm a registered nurse. So is Timber Brad here. We're going to tell you to take care of yourself physically, too, because the mind and the body, they're completely linked, y'all. As one goes, the others go. So please, please, please get your vaccines. Get your preventative screenings done if you are due or overdue. And because early detection does save lives, indeed. And then also get checked out, get your checkups if you're due. If you're not feeling well, please get yourself checked out. We want you around for a long time. Lastly, I'm going to say the GOP knows that they will very likely lose control of the House in 2024, but we need to make sure that that happens. Please make sure you are registered to vote. If you are a Democrat in a Republican-run state or county, you need to double-check your registration, because there is a noted instance of GOP-run places just dropping registrations on Democrat voters, especially those who are minorities. So please stay on top of your registration. If you've already registered, make sure it is still effective leading up into the election, and plan to vote, whether it's by mail, in person, whatever. Please vote in 2024.
And get involved in the midterms. Get involved in your primaries.
Yes, please vote in primaries.
If you do not like the way things are going and you haven't voted, you really have no position to not like it. You haven't put your vote in. Voter apathy is part of the problem.
Yes.
In this country.
We cannot afford to be apathetic. Human rights are on the line. Our democracy is on the line. Fascism is on the rise. We have to stop it in this country.
And unlike my wife, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm going to tell you, look at the ones who are banning books, who are passing laws that are constitutional violations of free speech. They literally pass laws that violate free speech, violate the Constitution, as in separation of church and state. They're passing laws that are in flagrant violation of that. Look at the ones who are targeting people,
marginalized communities,
right, and vote against them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm just going to tell you, when you compare, look at the ones that are. It's not a lesser of two evils. One group is banning books, banning things. That is not right. You don't ban books to suppress information. That solves nothing. That actually goes against what we're founded on. So, please. And trans rights are human rights.
Reproductive rights are human rights.
That's right. And I'm going to also put in there, Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Happy Pride. Remember, Pride was a riot.
Yep. Happy Pride Month. So that's important.
Love y'all.
So I do thank you all. And this is the last time I get to say this to the cast of this show. It has been an honor to be your storyteller. And it has been an honor to play with you all and to have you here to help us tell a story. And it's been an honor for you, the viewers, to watch this story. Good night, everybody.